It has to, there has to be a reason why she agreed to it, and only she knows. See, that's another thing about women. They will agree to something and they won't share, why they truly agreed to it. And then again, like I said, they'll come out and say, "What do you think I should do?" And it's like, no, you knew you shouldn't have done that in the beginning, and now you want somebody to validate why you should leave, or why you shouldn't deal with this person, or why you should get out of the situation that you're in, knowing damn well, full up, in the beginning, you weren't totally okay with it. You got to pay your student loans. You have to pay your taxes and things like that. And as a woman, now she's like, okay, it's getting worse and worse. Like she agreed to pay this 2,300, found out that it was 2,500. So there go one deceit. Then he asked, as a carpenter, a man who works with his hands and probably has a lot of work and he's busy. Now you're asking to be reduced down to a bookkeeper. And it's like, okay, that's another ding. And, she could be looking at him like, okay, what happened to this masculine man? Like, so it could be one thing after another. Now you're asking to quit your job. Now you sleeping on the couch, and you're, because maybe he was, he was a carpenter. Maybe he was working. Maybe she didn't have time to think about it. Maybe, for some women, for a lot of women, seeing is believing. So I can see you go to work, and to me, you're hardworking, but you might be lazy on your job. You might do just enough to get by and you still get paid. But when I see you laying on the couch and I'm leaving for work, or I see you on the couch and I'm doing everything around the house, now that's when my doubts and my fears and my sense of security has left, has gone, is diminished for you. It's just the nature of a woman seeing that a man reduce himself to that, when that's probably not how she met him. She met him and he's a carpenter making money working, and she probably was like, you know what, I could work with him. He's doing what he has to do. Let me do what I have to do. But then when you take steps to, kind of diminish your value in her eyes, in the sense of how she sees you, again, seeing is believing for women. So now she doesn't see you as this masculine man anymore, and now she's questioning it. So in the beginning, she could have thought everything was fine, but as things started to unfold, she started to change her mind. And I think a lot of men would ask themselves, well, why did she change her mind? Why are things changing? And honestly, what you need to ask yourself is, have I changed? Is there something that I did? Because women are naturally followers. There are some that want to be bad bitches and don't want nobody to tell them what to do. They're gonna hurt, they're gonna crash and burn, and they'll get there. But some women are naturally follow. Like, I feel like I'm a natural follower. Like, tell me what to do. That's just how I was raised. I was on sports teams. I've had leadership. Like that's how I operate. So when I see that you're not operating at leadership status, it's hard for me to follow. It's just naturally hard for me to follow that, because you're the leader. I'm doing what you're telling me to do, and if you're not holding to that standard, it's going to be hard for me to see you in that light. And that's how most women operate.
Vampires like to play with their food. This guy's a vampire. He's playing with his food. Period. And all this horse shit that these guys bringing my daughter into it and all that kind of stuff. I know it's humorous, but the truth of the matter is, this guy's taking advantage of her to the fullest extent.
Obviously,
I would never let my daughter be attached to some asshole like this, where she's toiling every goddamn day. And this guy, she's paying the rent, she's paying the mortgage without her name on the goddamn thing. And then she's giving him another 20, 60% or whatever the hell she's doing.
40.
And this guy is laying on the couch and shit saying, hey, baby, where's my food tonight? Listen, Yo, come on, guys.
And R-Pain.
If he's a vampire, then she works at a vampire. No, everything that she's doing is voluntary.
Vampires,
y'all gonna stop. You gonna stop skipping over that. Nobody is making her. No. She's not married to him. She could literally get up and walk away.
Here's the thing, Trey, R-Pain, check this out. I was just about to get into that, Trey. Now, look at the caliber of dude she's dealing with, Precious, okay? And gents. If this woman decided today to walk out on him, what's he got then? Who paying the bills? What man worth his salt will put himself in that situation and make himself that vulnerable? Like, where your head at, bruh? And then that's the kind of guy she got, and she's still there? Why are you still there, lady?
So then...
You know what I'm saying, Trey? Like, why is she still she's choosing to be there? I mean,
then it makes you think, right? Because women, it makes you think how she looks. I'm just gonna be honest. It makes you think.
Oh, she's fat. She's fat, bro.
I'm just saying.
She look like R-Pain with long hair. Okay, now the truth comes out.
She looks like the hamburger. That's what she looks like.
Precious.
I'm just being honest because, and I'm not, saying that women should just use their looks for any and everything, but most women who are confident in themselves probably wouldn't take that deal. They probably wouldn't take a deal like that to be paying 40% of a man's life, pretty much. Like I'm paying for your rent, I'm paying my student loans, plus if it was like
she lived there too though, right?
She does live there, but again, she was paying $2,500 in rent and it's only $2,300. So it's like, well, what is he paying? What exactly?
My man needs spending money.
This man goes out on Friday night, Trey, and buys himself a fifth, all to himself, okay, and a pizza or whatever.
I don't see the issue here. This is what women want. This is what y'all want. If you've ever been with an independent woman who can pay her own bills, this is what they want. And then when you give it to them, they complain about it. This is what you asked for. This is what you want. You getting it? Pay the bills.
And you know what I think?
I need some beer money.
You know what it is, Trey? I think they get guys like that because those kind of women want a measure of control. You know what I'm saying? Like if he's in a situation where he didn't have anything, he has to rely on her. She gets to have some say and gets to call shots. You know what I'm saying? But then look at the prices costing her. This is insane. This is ridiculous. When Precious said that she's giving him 40%. And she's paying those bills and her student loans. Look at the cost of that. And she has no one to blame but herself. Look at the caliber of dude she's got. And you choose to stay there. Now, I'm with Dr. Steele. I'm looking at the dude like, bruh, where's your pride?
A night out with the boys is expensive.
I would be embarrassed. I'm with Doc. I would be embarrassed. But I'm going to look at her. Lady, why are you still there? There's
everybody got to run their race.
Yeah, but not that damn slow.
Good evening, everybody.
Wow.
Everybody got to run their race. You can't take a lump for somebody. They got to take their own lumps. Mm-hmm. And then after that lump heal, they see, okay, maybe that did work, maybe that didn't work, and then move on from that given situation. There's a lot of wounded people out here that have low self-esteem. You pick your poison. That's this. A lot of us are not in closed doors and see if there's a different dynamic in the house. I don't agree. I agree with a lot of things you guys say. I believe that everyone should be holding their weight. As a man, blue collar, put on my boots. I'm not living up under no woman. I could understand if we're in a financial situation and I'm doing what I need to do. Maybe I'm laid off, but I'm doing everything in my power. Given situation, let's give a paradigm to it. I'm giving everything to alleviate the stress that she has financially. She's coming home to a peaceful house. Even if that's not being a simp, or I'm doing everything. If I can see a woman taking care of me until I figure out what I need to figure out, which it shouldn't be a long, drawn out thing. If you look at it some way, this is a woman that you know will be down for you. The other side of that coin, you could just have a slob laying on the couch, growing a beer belly, and just wishing to dry a woman out. And I know a lot of guys that have done that. Lack of respect. But you don't know the dynamic, truly, unless you're inside the house when they close the door. But if it is the case, as it's stated from what I've been listening to, she needs to look in the mirror and find her esteem, some therapy. He needs to get some old school treatment from like the guys on the block, or maybe a cousin or a brother of hers, get him up off that couch. Because you ain't gonna be doing my sis, my cousin, my kin that way. That's my take.
Good evening, King. Hope all is well.
What up? What up? What up? Sorry, I'm late, but I am here.
What's up, King?
All right, so we're actually gonna move on to the next video. This is actually another woman who needs advice, and I figure since we have the men's panel, you guys can elaborate and give your perspectives. Let me get this up here.
Because I'm currently having a difficult time with my boyfriend of 2.5 years. I'm in my early 30s. He is in his late 30s. When we got together, I made it clear to him that I was dating intentionally for marriage and that I want to have kids in the future. He said he wanted that as well. However, based on the experience in the second year of our relationship, I now have doubt in my mind on whether or not we are truly in alignment. We've both experienced a lot in our lives before and since meeting, including his brother suddenly passing away. I was very supportive, created safety for him to share his grief, but I feel that there are trust issues that won't allow him to be vulnerable with me when he's going through things. He only wants to discuss the good experiences. We had a tough time earlier this year, and his inability to be vulnerable caused me to consider ending the relationship, but I gave him another chance to show me differently. I'm a direct communicator, and I'm not afraid to admit my faults or mistakes. He struggles with this as well, and making certain life decisions, especially when they involve someone else. For months now, we've been talking about moving in together, but almost every conversation has been initiated by me. I brought it up again recently, as well as other concerns, to make sure we were on the same page, but we weren't. And now he is saying we have to delay moving in together, and he just doesn't understand my concerns. I was surprised but pissed, because had I not brought it up, would he just be thinking that things are great between us and that I'm happy in this relationship? This conversation turned into an argument where he was defensive, and all he kept saying was, I have a lot going on now. We saw each other once after this argument, had another argument the day after, and we haven't spoken since. It's been over 2 weeks. I reached out to his family after both disagreements to try to get an understanding of where his head is, and I'm left confused and hurt. I've watched him get his second bachelor's degree, and now he's in grad school for the next 3 years. He never told me that he thought I was in the way of him achieving his educational and career goals, and it's really hurting me that the things he once told me he wanted were seemingly based on lies and delusion. At this point, I feel he is showing me exactly how he feels about me. I don't think I should be the one going after him, because I feel I'd be enabling his passive behavior, and as a woman, I don't think I should be chasing a man. I've been compassionate, giving him grace, and had time to improve and work on himself. I'm trying to be optimistic that things will work out ultimately. I know I cannot force it, and I will accept it if this is not what he wants and move on with my life. But do you think we can repair things from this point, or should we just go our separate ways? How is it possible that someone can just switch up their future plans and focus in life and not communicate any of that to their partner? Do you have any suggestions for communicating with someone who is avoidant and emotionally immature? Any feedback would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
I wouldn't call him emotionally immature. We don't have enough information for that. I think it's unfair to call him that.
All that talking she said, we don't have enough information, man.
Yeah, about the dude, about to call him emotionally immature or whatever the case may be.
Man,
I don't think
what you call it.
I'm in 100% agreement. She's speaking her truth.
Yeah,
her truth.
That's her side of it. We don't know what's going on with Buddy.
So I don't need to hear no more. Run, brother. Run. Get out of there.
What
she
gives
is
you
nagging.
question?
She is nagging.
Jesus.
She is annoying. Get out of there, bro. Run.
Trey,
You made the right decision by not moving in with her, brother. Block her, move on with your life. She sounds annoying. My hair, if I had hair, it would be falling out. Like, just listening to that story was like, what? She's nagging. I want to talk to him, and I brought it up, and we don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear none of that.
but
Run, stay away from him.
Trey, peep something. He broke it off of her, but then continued and looked like he was prospering. She said he did get his other degree, right? She was watching. She was like bird watching. So his life didn't stagnate. He kept doing what he needed to do. So there's a question mark there.
Yeah, she was holding him back. That's what
I mean. That's what I mean, King. But we don't have enough information because I heard the same thing Kenneth did.
I was just,
you know what I'm saying? He
what
didn't.
more information do you need, man? If he did better if she was gone, what more information do you need?
But the thing is, it's not just that he did better. He sped up. You know what I'm saying? Like it sounds like he went to fast forward. He might have taken the extra 3 classes or something like that when she left because he had the time. I mean, but I don't know. Again, we don't have that. But it sounds like he didn't stop doing what he needed to do, which is the right answer.
And not only did he speed up, but he had a death in his family, which was his brother, and his brother suddenly passed away.
Yeah,
and women need to understand that no one deals with grief the same way. It's almost like a fingerprint that everyone has. It's unique to who they are. So even within that, having your brother pass away, you're getting your bachelor's. I think she said he's in grad school now. And the way that she worded it, she said that he lied about or changed what he wanted. And it didn't seem like that to me. It just seems as though she didn't want to support him through, or maybe is getting impatient or anxious in supporting him in what he has going on. Because it seems like he has a solid plan. And he's not necessarily letting anything
get in the way.
But as a man, if y'all were to be honest, there are things like a death that can truly impact how you carry out your plans and how some people don't have, some men don't have the strength for it to be a linear line. It's a lot of up and down. Some men may turn to substances, so for him to continue to be on his track of his plan, to me, it sounds like she's getting anxious. She's, she just doesn't have the patience, and then the way he communicates is not the way that she would like him to communicate. So tonight is, you miss me. It's like, do you miss me or do you miss me? And in this case, she's missing him in the communication area. It's not that he doesn't want to talk. He doesn't want to talk when she wants to talk. It's not that he doesn't want to get married, but he has a plan and he's sticking to that plan probably so he can be prepared to be married. So I think that, and I'm gonna let you guys get in there, but that's what I'm seeing or that's what I'm hearing and coming up with when I hear that scenario. Dr. Still, what about
you? Yeah, when I look at that, right now, this woman sounded like a sincere woman. He's not, letting her in the loop with things. He's protecting his vulnerability against her because he might have dealt with women before who took advantage of his vulnerability. And I think he's trying his best to protect it. I mean, I know like I say, she was sincere, but there are others who are not that sincere about it. When you are sharing anything with anybody, sometimes you have to be careful, of what you tell your so-called loved one, because it could come back to bite you. Now, but in the case of this woman, I would have told her at least some of what my plans were. Maybe not all of it, but some of it. Okay. Especially, I mean, you said he was getting degrees, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There was nothing wrong, with telling her that he's going to school. I mean, I've gotten 3 degrees, on my own. Okay. And I'm not scared to tell anybody. Or if he lost his brother, I mean, you could see how devastated I would be if I lost a brother. I mean, I recently lost an uncle in real life, and I was pretty devastated. But him protecting his vulnerability, I think he sort of overdid it a little bit. Okay, tell her something, but you don't have to tell her everything. All right. Again, I believe she's sincere, but again, there are some women who are not. That's all I gotta say.
I believe you're not being arbitrary. I think you just took her side and you made a case for her rather than getting the whole story. I think some people are great when they want to present their stories if they speak eloquently. There's too many factors within the given story that shows that he's flourishing after leaving her. Her conversation started with her intent on being married. She was pushing her issue rather than following his passion and being led by him. She said he would not speak. Who said there weren't conversations where he was trying to express what he needed to do and put down, and she wasn't with the game plan? I gave him chances. I left him. When someone has that I complex, all you have to do is listen. I've been around a lot of smooth talking women that left me on my back with the canaries flying around my head. I've been down that road. It sounds similar. If we don't hear his part, then the truth. I am not vouching for anybody, but I'm going off of the facts that she gives. Even though he left her, she was still bird watching his progress. She did mention that, didn't she? She did. And he was flourishing. What don't make sense? A man that's not on the square, despite losing someone, he still got back on the ball and did what he was supposed to do. So he didn't have anything handcuffing him. Everything leaves clues. I'd be arbitrary, but her story is not making sense for a man that isn't purpose driven. That's my take.
Let me say something real fast. It's funny. Most men don't talk a lot anyway. We're not going to say a lot. We're not going to have a lot of conversation. But ladies, when we do talk, you got to listen. Because another thing about a man doesn't like to repeat himself multiple times. We can't stand that shit. And I'm sure she did the right thing by letting him know that marriage is in her works. That's what she wants. Okay, that's cool. He knows this. He's willing to accept that. He stayed with the woman. He was still with the woman. But when it got to the point, and I'm telling you what happened. He shared his plan. He probably shared it twice. But that third time, it's just like, I ain't got time for this. Now I'm going through the death of a family member, which is my brother. He's taking it hard. I think somebody said, it's kind of hard to share it because it's obvious she likes to talk a lot. And talk a lot to the point of where she's talking to anybody who will listen. Because she's shown it when she went there and went to his family, inquiring about it. So now everybody knows what's going on. I'm a man who don't like that. It's a circle of two with me and my lady. Everybody don't need to be putting their hands in my stew because you're going to mess up my stew. Don't fuck up my stew. So get your hands out of it. Everybody don't need to be knowing our business. If we going to work some shit out, we're going to work it out together. And more than likely, that's what he probably had that same type mindset. Why are you telling my family? So now they got into an argument about it. She said we argued for a while. For 2 weeks, she didn't talk to him. They got back. She said after they had an argument, a day later, they had another argument. Yeah, she's chaotic. She's chaotic. But he probably stayed around, just like that other chick stayed around because he had some good D. She got that crazy woman putty. And so he stayed around for the good putty. But he said, I just can't take it no more. I'm out. Unlike the other woman who probably stayed around and wrote that Dear Sally letter, he said, I'm out. I'm done with her. And he walked away and he moved on. And guess what? Did that death of the brother maybe help focus? Probably did. You know why? Because the brother was probably encouraging him to go finish and get his degree. He was probably that driving force. Hey, bro, I want to see you graduate. I want to be there for you. Unfortunately, he didn't get to make it. But that didn't stop him from accomplishing the dream that him and his brother had for him. And so he finished the degree. She's on the outside looking in. Now, guess what? She done fat the frog for them other snakes to eat. Them other girls gonna come in and get that man and gonna ride on his team, gonna do everything he needs him to do. And she's on the outside looking in. It's cold on the outside looking in. But that's a consequence you got to suffer because she found some way to mess it up.
Precious, can I ask you a question? Okay. It might be beneficial to play the video again, just for it, because I have some things to say, and I know after a while everybody talking, we might have missed something. But I don't disagree. Go ahead.
I can play it again. I just wanted to welcome Lapeef. How are you?
Hey, Lapeef, what's going on, brother?
So in other words, long-winded. That's what he's trying to say. I got you, Pain. Where'd you set it up?
Less than a minute. Let's
turn your hearing aid up this time, okay, Pain?
Oh my God.
These guys. I take a lot of abuse, man. Ages. You guys are ages.
All right.
All right. It is from Anonymous. She says, I'm writing in because I'm currently having a difficult time with my boyfriend of 2.5 years. I'm in my early 30s. He is in his late 30s. When we got together, I made it clear to him that I was dating intentionally for marriage and that I want to have kids in the future. He said he wanted that as well. However, based on the experience in the second year of our relationship, I now have doubt in my mind on whether or not we are truly in alignment. We both experienced a lot in our lives before and since meeting, including his brother suddenly passing away. I was very supportive, created safety for him to share his grief, but I feel that there are trust issues that won't allow him to be vulnerable with me when he's going through things. He only wants to discuss the good experiences. We had a tough time earlier this year, and his inability to be vulnerable caused me to consider ending the relationship, but I gave him another chance to show me differently. I'm a direct communicator, and I'm not afraid to admit my faults or mistakes. He struggles with this as well, and making certain life decisions, especially when they involve someone else. For months now, we've been talking about moving in together, but almost every conversation has been initiated by me. I brought it up again recently, as well as other concerns, to make sure we were on the same page, but we weren't. And now he is saying we have to delay moving in together, and he just doesn't understand my concerns. I was surprised but pissed, because had I not brought it up, would he just be thinking that things are great between us and that I'm happy in this relationship? This conversation turned into an argument where he was defensive, and all he kept saying was, I have a lot going on now. We saw each other once after this argument, had another argument the day after, and we haven't spoken since. It's been over 2 weeks. I reached out to his family after both disagreements to try to get an understanding of where his head is, and I'm left confused and hurt. I've watched him get his second bachelor's degree, and now he's in grad school for the next 3 years. He never told me that he thought I was in the way of him achieving his educational and career goals, and it's really hurting me that the things he once told me he wanted were seemingly based on lies and delusion. At this point, I feel he is showing me exactly how he feels about me. I don't think I should be the one going after him because I feel I'd be enabling his passive behavior, and as a woman, I don't think I should be chasing a man. I've been compassionate, giving him grace, and had time to improve and work on himself. I'm trying to be optimistic that things will work out ultimately. I know I cannot force it, and I will accept it if this is not what he wants and move on with my life. But do you think we can repair things from this point, or should we just go our separate ways? How is it possible that someone can just switch up their future plans and focus in life and not communicate any of that to their partner? Do you have any suggestions for communicating with someone who is avoidant and emotionally immature? Any feedback would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
She made some of that up. Some of what she's saying that guy's thinking and doing, that's just her.
I'm glad you played it again. I'm glad you played it again.
Yeah. Some of that ain't that dude. Some of the things she's claiming is going on. Some of that's her. You know what I'm saying? Some of that's her. Because
Well, what do you mean? Some of it's her.
The conclusion she's drawing. But this guy's behavior tells her that his plans changed.
Okay.
For one,
I wasn't understanding that part either.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, exactly. Like, what in this guy's behavior told her he got his second degree and now he's in grad school? Sounds like a solid plan to me. And it sounds like he's following it to the letter. So what about this plan didn't she understand?
Right.
And let's say Arpain, he course corrected.
Well, hold on.
Or shifted gears.
Let's even speak. You guys are jumping and you guys had your chance. I asked for her to play it again so we could hear it again, but everybody's talking but me. All right. So
okay, you want to go ahead?
I'm gonna be real quick because I don't like the narrative that I'm long-winded. So I took 15 seconds just to say that shit.
It's not a narrative, it's a fact.
The one thing I'm gonna say is one thing that we're missing. I don't disagree with any of what you guys saying. If a man's not ready to marry a woman, he shouldn't feel obligated to marry her just because what she wants. Men are the gatekeepers. If you're not comfortable with the woman that's you're courting, do not marry her. That's all I gotta say. That's number one. Number two, I can see her sense of urgency because if you listen, she was 32 when they started dating. Now she's 34, 35. Her options are going down every single year. Every single year, because now she's in geriatric pregnancy. And the men that she might want are not checking for her. So the longer she stays with this dude, the lesser her options are. That's what we say on these stupid panels all the time. So she might be feeling that, because she's going to be 35. So she's desperate. She's desperation is building. Now, I'm not saying she's right and he's wrong, but I can see where she's coming from. So a woman at a certain age shouldn't be hitching her wagon to a man who's not ready to marry her because she don't have the time to waste. I tell women that all the time. If she was 25, I can dig it. But at 33, no. Because let me tell you, I don't give a shit what none of these men say. If you have a woman you want to marry, it don't take 5, 4, or 3 freaking years. If you want to lock her down, it doesn't take that long to do it. So let's just stop with the cat. So her time and your time is not the same. I'll just land it there.
It's shown that she was fully disingenuous. She didn't point out anything that she did incorrectly within that given situation, but she took that whole Dear Abby letter to point out the things he wasn't doing, even close quote his immaturity, his intellectual immaturity. I think when a woman talks to you so much and tries to impose her will and she's not aligned with you, men shut down too. We had constant arguments. I reached out to his family, like King said. What happens in our house stays in our house. She was pressuring. I get this. You could say geriatric. She's in her 30s. I don't want to make 35. And, I want to be married. And
that doesn't matter.
Okay, allow me to finish. Allow me to finish. Her point was made when she showed that she reached out not only to his family, she would even put him on blast on a public forum to show that she didn't have a problem. He did. But his life flourished after making space from her. It doesn't make sense. She wanted what she wanted and she imposed her will. He was still going through what he was going through, but nonetheless, her priorities trumped that. That's what she didn't want to tell you.
I heard that, brother.
Those arguments didn't come from anywhere. I land right there.
Was anybody else annoyed by the letter?
Well, let me ask you a question.
No, hang on, Arpain. You had your time. You had your time. Is anybody else annoyed by the letter?
I was annoyed.
Imagine having to sit in the room with her and talk to her. The letter was long. She detailed a bunch of stuff about him, never said anything about herself. Meanwhile, while saying that she has no problems admitting her faults. So when you going to admit them? You wrote this long letter and never once said what your faults were.
Facts.
Well, she did. She just didn't really No, well, I mean, you have to read between the lines, right?
Okay. Okay. What did I miss, Precious?
So reading between the lines in what she's saying that he's doing or he's not doing, she is not giving him the space to be the man that he's becoming. See, a lot of women want men to be ready-made and done, and come to the relationship just ready to go. Marry me today.
Simple, yeah.
I want marriage. You want marriage? Let's go. But again, it seems as though he has a plan. And so within his plan, again, his brother passed away suddenly. Within his plan, you have to study a man enough, because at the end of the video, she says, "Can you give me advice for avoidant immature?" What did she say? Avoidant,
intellectually immature men.
Immature man, right? So and he is showing a lot of avoidant characteristics, right? He's not wanting to talk to her. He's not. They're arguing, and she's
annoying,
right? But she's not allowing the space to analyze. Like, okay, it's not a good time to talk to him, or he doesn't want to talk about this. She wants things. I think Arpain said it. It's a timing thing. It's his time versus her time, and she wants it done in her time, and he has things that he wants to accomplish and get done in his time. Now, if you want to be married, you love this man, you want to be with this man, don't you think that you should support him in the time that he's taking to actually become the man that you actually want to marry? Right? Like,
but the only question I have here is, when did he become avoidant, and when did he become emotionally immature? Was this from the beginning? Was this when his brother passed? Is this when he made the decision that he doesn't want to move in with you and it's delayed? At what point in time did you recognize that all of a sudden if it was sudden, I won't assume that it was sudden, but if it was sudden, that he's avoiding you now, and now he's emotionally immature? Because what I always find funny in these situations is that when we hear these words and these insults and these things being thrown out, I always like to ask, when did that start?
After the 2 years,
when did that start? Did it? Because if you went with this man for a year and a half, and none of that happened, 2 years, and you didn't feel that way, then that tells me that his brother's passing affected him deeply. It affected him deeply, and I'm telling you, somebody who's lost somebody close to them,
2 years.
Grief does not run away from you. It doesn't go away, and everybody deals with it differently. That man probably dove into his work, dove into his studies as a way of coping with his brother passing. And instead of you trying to work through that, and by the way, there's no timeline on this. By the way, if you decide to work through that with him, instead you're trying to push him into talking. The man don't want to talk. He'd rather stay focused. And if that bothers you, you have to tell him, listen, that bothers me. I can't be with you because I think it's unhealthy, or whatever, however you come up with it, right? Whatever way you put it. But at the end of the day, that man has to deal with his brother passing the way he's going to deal with it, because I don't believe that he was avoiding or he was emotionally immature before all of this started to happen. I think something triggered it, and he's trying to work through it. We're not the same, men. We don't, especially men who have been, if you've had a tough life, you've been through some sort of trauma, something's gone through life, you don't want to go and talking to people. That's just not something you want to do.
It's just not people.
Don't time me.
She's 34, 35, and she could change it. If he changes her mind, now she's 35 freaking years old. She wanted reassurance from the fucking guy.
Oh, geez, you dead wrong.
She didn't have to commit. She just wanted reassurance that the time she's spending with him is not going to be wasted when he finds himself. That's what she wanted. That's what I'm saying.
How dare you try to
find that agreement,
and now she's gonna come try to talk to one of you goddamn guys, and you're gonna say, you too old, bitch. I want somebody younger. That's what she was thinking about.
Nah, you spit in front of the pulpit. They said the relationship was 2 years, 24 months. OG, you being disingenuous. So now you lost a brother within 24 months. At the onset, he said, I will commit to you. The 24 months, let's break down the time of his brother dying, bereavement, him dealing with what he was dealing with outside, and her still pushing our priority. Let's move in together while he's dealing with other stuff on his mind. 2-year time frame was their relationship, correct? Yes. He wasn't dragging her along. Did you factor in that that man is probably dealing with his mentals? She's pushing, oh, I need to get married now. Make me a priority. But she's not telling her.
33, 34 years old.
Okay, you're not paying attention.
Tell her, yo, what? I'm too busy.
That's not his fault.
You're not paying attention, OG. She said, I have been with this man for the last.
Hey, you know what? You know what? Nice to hear from Lapeef because he's the OG, right? I'm the old OG. I'm more like goddamn Biden. He's more like Trump. Go ahead.
Okay, so the letter started 2 years, right? So he had 24 months. So if we're going by the numbers and taking emotion out of it, he had 24 months to deal with the brother's death, get his stuff together, get his education together, his head right, with her still pushing the issue of moving in, rather than deal with the concerns of his heart as for why he shut down and is not speaking to her.
Man, stop it, man. Like his brother.
She said it. Whoa.
What I'm saying is, a woman, if you know anything about female nature, they're selfish.
Nah, tell me.
Wait, hold on. You act like you don't know and understand female nature. By nature, they are a little bit selfish, and it takes men to bring selflessness out of them. She's thinking, I'm at this point in my life, I've dedicated this much time to that man, and yeah, he's going through some stuff. I can dig it. But I'm also thinking that if he cuts me loose at 35 years old, I'm sitting down here and listening to all you internet motherfuckers telling me I'm too old to be married.
There's no but. There's no but.
You guys act like women can't have an agenda when they're worried about being out there and being spinsters. Just they can't. Stop.
OG, you made a very good point for why he needed to run fast and far away from that woman.
You know what? Thank you. I just did a video on how I don't agree with toxic masculinity. And I'm just telling you that you got to understand how women think. And just because you have on your purpose, which you can do, then let her loose. If you're not ready to marry her, cut her ass loose so she
did her brother die or did his brother die?
His brother.
Okay, your brother died.
It doesn't matter.
So he's supposed to go into a show for the rest of his life for everything.
Oh no. We had the time frame. We had the time frame. We're not gonna let you draw that out. 24 months. That was the time frame where he had to get his mind right, deal with bereavement, and deal with
death for 24 months. My life has to end because my brother died for 20. My brother would listen.
You're gaslighting right now.
One of them would say, "Put your life on hold for 24 months because
you're gaslighting right now, OG."
Come on.
She wanted him. He gave her the promise at the beginning.
Should a man enter into a serious? I mean, at that point when you're moving together, you're serious. Let me ask the question.
Mr. Payne, you gaslighting right now.
Should a man?
No, I'm not.
Should a man be emotionally, and physically, mentally? Should he be healthy before he moves in with a woman?
Okay, let me.
Good point.
Say this as calm as I can. Can I say this as calm? I'm gonna be quick. If I'm dealing with
you ain't been quick all night. You ain't been quick all night. What you talking about?
Stop this line. Stop lying.
In the name of Jesus. Everything I want to say, and once I get a point, you got to want to hear it.
Hey, Mr. Payne, send me your address so I can send you a can of Banaka. So when you say I'm a be short, so you can back, and then go on.
I'll ask the question again, R. Payne, for you. Should a man who's getting ready to move in with a woman take their relationship to the next level? She's made it known that she's intentional. She wants to get married.
And he agreed.
Should he be mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually? Should he be healthy before he moves in?
The answer is yes.
Do you think that he was in his right mind after his brother passed?
Oh, listen to me.
You're not going to answer your question.
I am going to answer the question. If he's not in his right mind, you still should understand where your woman's at, whether you agree with it or not. And listen, I'm just telling you this. If your woman's 34, 35 years old, you got to understand where she's at.
You gave her 2 more years.
Wait a minute, you ain't let me say this. If you let her go and put her back in the market, we are all on these panels telling women when they get a certain age, their value goes down. She's basing a lot of that shit on you. And so when you sit down here and say, my brother died 18 years ago and I'm going through some shit. I mean, just, listen, I love my brothers.
Moving the goalposts.
If my brothers move,
right, he took it to another country.
If I pass away, I would never tell my brother for the next 2 years mourn my life. I would never say that.
Now you're creating a whole different narrative.
Okay, who are we to tell somebody how to mourn, though?
I would never say that.
Exactly.
Who are we to tell somebody how to mourn?
You said.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm telling you what.
That's what you're doing.
You said he strung her along for 2 years.
Don't put your life on hold for my black
you got people who lost their mothers or their parents 20 years ago, and it's still affected. Who are we to tell somebody how to mourn? Look, Payne, I understand you talk like a man of 2 daughters, and I understand why you saying the way you say, because you don't want to see your daughter go through that shit. But at the same time, she waited late in the game. She waited to 32 to decide that she want to actually get with a man and want to be married. Why did she do this at 25? Why did she do this after her graduation and she got her degree? Why did she do it then? No, she waited till she got in the 30s when she got damn near dried out and the market was really done with her, but she had just enough life left to pick up a man, and now she want him to do a instant microwave type thing. And well, you gonna go ahead and marry me? Dude, no man should look at the football when I got you, Payne. I got you, Payne. But no man should move in with a woman unless they're getting married. There's no way. I don't care. She can ask me 30 times. I'm not moving in with you unless you got my last name. We're not moving in. We're not playing house. We're not shacking up. Why? Why do that? There's not a benefit in doing that. So no, don't pay no woman's bills if she's not your wife. There's no way. Don't do it. Now, women, if you buy it and sign up for that, that's on you. You the damn fool. Me, if you do that shit, you a damn fool. I encourage you not to. But dog, again, but Payne, I don't think you heard the whole story, dog. This woman sit there and fought with this man. A couple days after the fight was over, she fought with him again. The dude said, I got to get up out of here. 2 weeks later, she said she ain't talked to him. He was at peace. Guess what she did? She went to go, she's a stalker. She went to go shake his family down, ask the question, trying to find out what that man is. That man trying to get away from her. But she go ask the family. The family probably put him in protective custody. Man, get out of the country.
Well, she only felt comfortable to ask the family because she's been stringing along with this guy for 2 years.
She ain't been strung along. She chose to stay alone.
You're not looking at the fact.
I'm out of here.
Just trying to make your point right.
I don't mind being on the opposite side of this because I don't necessarily disagree with you.
Because you got daughters. And
y'all act like you don't understand the nature of women. I mean, that's crazy.
And that's bad, Payne. That's real bad because every man on this panel has experience with women, some more than you know, and it takes a lot of cojones to get up. I don't care what age you is to say people don't have experiences in failed relationships, and you don't know. You haven't read the book on every man on this.
Especially when you've been married for the last 3 years.
It's bad for you.
Right now.
Wait, Mr. Payne. It's bad for you to get on this panel, given the information. Once we rewound it and you asked her because you didn't pay attention the first time, but we let that slide. Then when given the information in the 24-month time span, he lost a brother. He did commit to her, but she wanted to push her priorities first rather than work on his mental wellness and where his heart was. And when it wasn't accepted and he shut down and left her, she went and bothered his family. Shortly after, she's still bird watching. After she see the relationship is not tangible, he's flourishing.
I have a daughter.
Wait, Trey. Before you go, Trey, I want to hear from Lapeef and King Smith because we haven't heard from them in a a while. I don't know. King has gone at all since he's
Plus, I want to go put some salve on my wounds from these guys beating the shit out of me. You know, I got a Spartacus blows on my back.
You deserve those wounds tonight,
No, I don't. But
you're being biased.
Make sure you put
you're being
your
biased.
mic on mute when you do it. Put your mic on mute when you do it.
So, what do you think about the video?
Well, I only seen the video one time, so I was trying to grasp a little bit of information based on what the gentleman was saying. In my opinion, everything that happened after a certain point is just people responding. So you really can't really take that as face value. It's just people just responding, just doing them. In the very beginning, because I was taking some notes, it sounded like something happened. Something happened, and we don't really have information. So we just all just chiming in, giving our opinions and perspectives, but we don't have all the information. But something happened for it to go left. I asked a question in the back chat to see if the brother died before they got together or after. Like I knew it was after. Okay, so I do think that did have an effect, and it sounded like it was some wrongdoing on both sides. The first thing that I looked at was wrong is there seems to be a problem with some form of communication. It doesn't seem like, maybe he did make some promises in the beginning, and then maybe it was a plan for them to do something, but I don't think that she was sensitive to the fact enough to be able to ask him and see how he was doing, during that hard time. But we don't know. This is just what she's telling us. She could have been doing it, she could not have been doing it. So we don't have enough information. But I also think that even if somebody is grieving, I don't know if she's nagging him or not, but I would think that at some point in time he has to kind of communicate with her. Because if he just totally shut down, then maybe she can kind of be like, okay, he's mourning. But what if he didn't totally shut down? And then he's still doing what he needs to do, and it doesn't appear to him to be grieving. But then that's when she needs to have a conversation with him first before assuming. I always say, like, never assume. Always at least have a conversation. Even if things are coming as BS on the front end, at least have a conversation first, just to gather more data information, and then you make your decision. A lot of times people make impulse decisions, and then they wind up looking like an ass, or it could have been handled better, or they could have lost a good one because they decided to make an impulse decision as far as what they're going to do for something that was very valuable to them. And then you look like a fool trying to come back around. So if we just trying to just break it down, I think it was a lack of communication on both parts. I do think that it may have been some sensitivity that wasn't given like with the death. Cause I agree with Trey and some of the other gentlemen, like people handle grief differently. Like I've seen some people never be the same after whoever that person was to them died. But if you are in a relationship and that person is supposed to be your person, then I do think you at least owe them like some form of, hey, I'm going through it right now. If I seem a little bit off, this is why. Just give me a little time. I think that's what should have been done if it wasn't done. Because you got to understand, I think R-Pain make a good point. I don't even know why we surprised when we hear stories of people when they broke up, the version that a woman will give. I'm not surprised anymore. And I'm not even saying that it's wrong or right, but women are emotional. And then sometimes too, it takes a while for a woman. Sometimes it may not never happen whether she accepts accountability as far as what she does. So whenever you paint a picture, I want to hear the other side of it. And then we have a case, actual, then we have facts where we can really decide on who was right, who was wrong, who could have done better. But the only thing we just hearing is just her side. I'm really not surprised about how it came out. I see you guys are just, I can't believe she done it. We see it all the time, right? We see it all the time. So until we talk to that gentleman, then we can really make strong cases as far as which side that we lean on when it comes to who was right or who was wrong. But I think it's some wrongdoing on both parts. I think everybody could have done a better thing based on what we have. Now, once we get more information, and I think we can kind of take a deep dive then.
Well, Lapeef agrees with me on something.
King?
I think that what we heard was two people whose comms aren't necessarily on the same page. Like, that guy could be a guy that is a man of few words. He also could be a person that he's running on his plan and his timeline, and her timeline and his timeline doesn't match up. And somebody said something on one of these panels either last week or the week prior, in which they said that, you know, you have to give a man patience, or you don't have to give a man, but it could be wise to give patience for a man to get to where he needs to be. And she could be working on a timeline that's just a whole lot faster for whatever her, you know, selfish reasons is. And without hearing from his side, I would probably say that this situation is more of a factor of those two people not communicating well, and also just simply not having the exact same timeline. That's all I have.
Hey, Precious, didn't she say in the letter that they had a conversation, that he said that he wanted to delay the moving in together?
Mm-hmm.
So they did talk at some point. I don't know how effective that communication was, obviously, but at some point in time they did have a conversation about it, and he did relay to her, listen, we need to slow this down.
More than one, Trey, and she said those turned into arguments.
And I would believe they probably turned into arguments because that's not what she wanted to hear. Probably not what she wanted to hear. She probably was thinking something, she was going to hear something else, but he put the brakes on it.
Yeah, so it seems as though she is probably over communicative and he's probably under communicative.
I would agree with that.
She wants to talk, solve, plan, have everything worked out. And he's like, pump your brakes. You know, I got things to do. You know, and I'm not saying that I think him under communicating does bother her. And so the way that she displays that is probably maybe in a nagging way, or maybe in a way that is overwhelming for him, because again, she called him avoidant, and there are people who have avoidant attachment styles. Like, I believe I have an avoidant attachment style. And yeah, like, it's like, you know, I sometimes I just don't have nothing to say. I don't, there are times where I don't want to say anything because I don't want to say the wrong thing, or I don't want to, you know, say something that I will have to take back, like that. And honestly, it took a lot. I'm not even going to, maybe therapy made me like that a little bit, because before therapy, I was more explosive and I was more, you know, just say anything, shoot from the hip. I don't care. You're just going to have to deal with it. But now I think I'm on the other side of that, where it's like I don't say enough, or I don't say, or I stop it at a certain point. And so it sounds like to me that she doesn't know how to communicate with someone who is avoidant like that, someone who isn't going to give you that rah when you in her face, or that, you know, she said 2 arguments. One happened the day right after the other one. Right. So there was not even any time in there. Men, I that's one thing I've learned. That's, women have to study men. But one thing about men, that arguing and that nagging and that, you know, that's probably one of the main reasons why I don't do it either. Because I just feel like it doesn't really get you anywhere. It doesn't, especially with a man. It's just not. Yeah, y'all don't operate with all of that commotion and things like that. But this man is a little bit on the opposite end of the spectrum, where, you know, he probably could be more communicative, like Arpain was saying. She does need a little bit more reassurance, because that's just how women are. We do need you to reassure us, because you may tell us, you know, one thing, but if you don't reassure us, then we're not going to feel as though you really mean what you say. And I think Hink said it, well, men don't like to repeat themselves. And I think in a certain sense, you shouldn't repeat yourself. Like when you're laying down the law, when you're saying, you know, where you want the relationship to go and things like that. But women, because we're cyclical, one month you could say, and then the next month we're going to need to hear it again. And it's not, oh, this is the plan, this is what we're doing, this is, you know, it's, remember that talk we had, this is what we're working on. let's, stay on track. Let's, continue to work the plan. I still got you. I still love you. Things like that. But he seems to be on the far end of that, whereas he could give up a little bit more communication. She could back off a little bit and just see how he moves. See how he moves when he's in a mood and how he communicates. See how he communicates when he comes in from work or from a workout or when he's gotten bad news. Like, those are just things that we as women have to study about men, and it may take a little bit of time. It may take a little bit of time, but I hear what Arpain is saying too, is as a woman, she don't have that much time. So you either got to get with it and find another way to communicate and learn how he communicates and work with him on that, or just leave.
Can I just say one more thing before they attack me again, real quick? This guy's telling her that he don't have no time. Well, hold on for a second, guys.
I'm not sure if she was finished.
Well, hold on, man. Let me finish this.
I don't know if she was.
Wait a second, man.
You old ass bully.
No, listen. Let me just say what I gotta say. He's telling her all this horse shit, right? But I've been in college, just like some of you. He's passing exams. He's studying. He's doing all this stuff in the backdrop of his brother being passed away. But I can't tell you why we can't be married. It's not like he's just walking through life. This guy's doing some serious stuff under all this depression. But he can't tell his chick, yeah, I know you're getting old, man. Them eggs are drying up and shit, But I either got to marry you or let you lose. Tell her the truth. If you ain't ready to marry her, you're the gatekeeper of marriage. Let that woman go or tell her the goddamn truth. That's what I'm saying. And that's what he's not doing. He don't get no pass because his brother died. Let her know. Listen, if she's nagging you, say, listen, you're nagging me. You keep nagging me, I'm going to let your ass go. Say that. Because he's doing stuff. It's not like he's sitting in a hovel because his brother died. He's going through exams. He's going to class. He's
part of that timeline
he's doing all that kind of stuff. So if you could do all that stuff under this pressure and duress,
he did that after he left her.
You can't tell me that you can't have a relationship with me unless you want me or not. Hey, listen, brother, you got a chance to say, I'm going to shut up right now. But all this shit, man, you guys are just capping because y'all don't want to be against the goddamn woman. And I can take it. But listen,
she's wrong. She's wrong.
Pain.
She's wrong.
You're talking about he got his degrees after he left her bird watching him. During that period of time, there were key points that were made. She pressed him and made an ultimatum for moving in. Remember, she said she broke up with him because he didn't meet her timeline. Then she gave him another chance. You remember that part?
Give her another chance.
Yeah, that's what she said. Wait. That's what she said. Okay, we have 24 months within a given relationship. She's in her early 30s. He's in his late. He just lost his brother. She is insisting and pushing her wants over his needs. She had a discussion. She said it became an argument. She didn't even give the doe 12 hours to rise. She went and tried to talk him again, caused another argument.
Stop.
No, I'm listening. I listened intentionally. You created a whole narrative during that 24 months of how he got his PhD, and he was wasting her time, dragging her along for 2 years. You initially said you dragged her along for 2 years. Did you not? So he dragged her along after he made a commitment, lost her brother. We don't know his mindset. She gave him an ultimatum, asked for moving in a timely fashion, which caused her to say, I broke it off because he did not meet my timeline. And then after the fact, when he shut down, left her, she went, bothered the family. After he left her, that's when he got his degree and he flourished. So what's the common denominator that didn't make sense there?
I think a question we have to ask.
He didn't get degrees.
I didn't put an S. I didn't put an S behind it.
He didn't get a degree after he left her. It's 2.5 years that he said, first off. It was 2.5 years that they were together. One thing that I'm recognizing and seeing is that
Hold on. Don't go too far. He got a degree after he left her because she said
you
she
can't get a
watched him.
degree. Okay, you don't get a degree in less than 2.5 years for that usually, but that's neither here nor there.
There was nothing that said that he wasn't already in school.
Cool, exactly. You're
that's
picking
my
a straw.
point. He was still doing the work. Thank you, Sean. I know we ain't in odds, but you know what? I might just take your little gratification. Go ahead, man. You're on the right track.
You know, I have to ask this question, dude. As a man that dates a woman that's closer to this age where they feel pressure, is he responsible for that? Is he responsible for trying sort of pushing the schedule to basically being on her schedule now? Is he responsible for that? Because to me, it sounds like even you are paying the same. He should have gotten on her program because he's dating her. That's what it sounds like.
You said he was stringing her along for 2 years.
If he wasn't willing to appreciate her needs where she's at, then let her ass go.
Okay, so that's what I'm asking. So that's what I'm asking. If I decide to date, hang on, R-Pain. If I decide to date a woman who's 34 and she tells me, look, I want to have kids and I'm running out of time, am I on her schedule now automatically?
I'm saying if you don't want to marry her, let her go.
So yes, I'm on her schedule.
And guess what? She could walk away. If she doesn't see it, if she doesn't see it's going as what her plan is, she can walk away. Just like he can.
Oh, stop that, sir. Now you're not being a man. Let her go. Why? Tell her, listen.
You're not being a man. She's an adult. She's an adult.
Hey, women walk away all the time.
No, what you want is something I can't abide by, so we can't continue in this relationship. Go find somebody else. That's what you're supposed to do as a man.
Or she could say, this isn't working out for me. I'm going to leave.
Okay, so can I?
Trey, you can look at it that way, but you're being disingenuous. You know why?
What?
Because let me just say this. You don't have to agree, right? If you as a man and you know a woman wants you and she's at 35 years old, she ain't reticent. She ain't ready to let you go because she's thinking, especially if you have any shit going for you, that this might not be, she don't have that many bites at the apple. So if you want her to decide to leave you, then she's going to be a little reticent to do it because she's looking at you as the guy that she wants to choose. So if you don't want to bring her into your house, and open the gate to let her in, you should let her go. That's
who's responsible for their time? Am I responsible for her time? Or is she responsible for her time?
If you know what she wants, Trey. If you know what she wants,
is this a child or an adult?
You asked me a question. Let me say it. If you know she wants,
you long stroking every answer.
If you
yes or no.
If she wants to marry, you're not willing to give it to her, let her ass go.
Why can't she walk away? Answer that question.
He actually did.
I did. Thank you.
Wait, Mr. Payne. He actually did, but she went and bothered his family when he went and detached himself.
It's not his family. She was with him for so long. She thought
she went to his family to ask questions.
24 months. Okay, 24 and 6, 2.5.
But she ain't got his last name.
You don't think she introduced her to his family in that time?
They friends.
She knew the family.
He's friends until we get married. Then they family. They don't become family just because you know them for 2 years.
You don't know the nature of women. This is just crazy what y'all saying.
Look,
if you're a man, get up and hold your balls and tell her you don't want to marry her and go find some other dude.
Who said he didn't?
Oh,
during that period of time, who said he didn't find out that he didn't want to marry her after she showed what she was?
This is
after she showed that she was selfish.
Okay, you caping tonight, man. You caping strong tonight, brother.
I mean, listen, I'm 65. I think I got most of you guys by 20 years.
Nah.
That's why I'm winning this conversation because y'all
don't
know what the hell y'all talking about.
And age doesn't. What does age have to do with wisdom?
But
it has a lot to do with it, goddamn it.
If you had a son going through this shit, would you tell him to do the same thing?
If I had a son, he wouldn't be going through this shit. That's just simple as that. You know,
so you're gonna
if there's a woman, if you got, here's what I say all the time. I'm gonna be real quick. If a woman's 23 and she got time to go through her time with a guy, and she's 28 now and it doesn't work out, that's one thing. But when she's 30 something, that's a whole different ball game.
You made a whole case for him to be on her time, not his.
I don't understand that. It's tripping me out.
Mr. Payne, since you've been talking, you disrespected men and made a case for us being on her page or him being on her page.
You guys just want to hear what y'all want to hear.
No.
I'm saying if she doesn't give you what you want, you should be man enough to let the chick go.
He did.
Tell her. No, he didn't tell her. Yo, listen, honey, I ain't with you no more. Get the hell out of here.
No.
You just changed. I never heard him say that.
You just changed your wording. He left her. He did leave her.
If he didn't hear from her for 2 weeks, what do you think was saying?
So now a woman's supposed to infer what 2 weeks means without him definitively telling her.
If your daughter talks to you for 2 weeks, what do you think?
She'd have left me. She'd have found some new dick.
Listen. That's God damn. I think I would just dance like this chick.
He put his 2 weeks notice in, man. He put his 2 weeks notice in. That's what she heard from him.
Stop it. 2 weeks.
You know what?
And he didn't tell her it's over.
Pain. If your daughter,
you're making narrative. How you know?
If your daughter came to you, Pain, and said, "I like this guy, we were dating, but I haven't heard from him in 2 weeks," what would you tell your daughter?
I would tell her that this guy is gone. Get rid of this fucking guy.
You ain't got to get rid of him. He already gone.
Listen,
you ain't got to get rid of him. That's the
since
point.
you bring my daughters up,
left.
my daughter talked to me about this guy she was with. I said, listen, if you have a guy that you like, but you're not willing to introduce me to him right now, then get rid of that fucking guy.
We talking about that's something completely different. We're talking about that's completely different. That's completely different. We're not talking about bringing home. We're not talking about bringing home a boyfriend or daddy. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about if your daughter had a guy and she didn't hear a word from that man for 2 weeks.
Yes.
He's gone.
He should be gone. If she asked me, he's
gone.
Okay.
Well, let me tap in a little. Been listening to y'all all night, and it's pretty funny to me.
Cam up.
It's pretty funny. I can't cam up right this second, but it's pretty funny to me, because one, a lot of people just like talking. If this was a story from a man, we would have a whole different perspective.
But it wasn't.
I didn't ask you that.
And men and women aren't the same.
Exactly.
Haven't y'all been speaking? Haven't y'all speaking all night? Haven't y'all been speaking? Y'all two specifically. Haven't y'all been speaking all night?
Well, don't long stroke it.
Okay, you done long stroked all night.
Well, get to the point. Let's go.
You the impatient one. Listen, this is what always happens when somebody talk. You jump in. Now, first off, he had bad communication because he undercommunicated. She had bad communication because she overcommunicated. He had a bad circumstance in his scenario with his brother. And we keep on saying, well, we don't have any measure of grief. I agree with that. But what was he doing for that grief? Does anybody know that? We done came up with so many scenarios to justify this man's actions to where we didn't even, what it shows to me is that we just don't really, there's a few people who just don't really trust women. And it's really very clear and concise because we only have her portion. And if we were here to be sitting here giving responses, it should be to what she said, not to what we think. But we all sitting there telling us what we think because of our mistrust, because of our trauma, because of our distrust, rather. And we don't even know anything but what she said. So we took what she said as the truth. How will we respond? Not what we think, not what we feel, not what we could come up with. We could come up with a million scenarios, which we have this evening. We came up with a whole bunch of scenarios, most of them favoring what his position could be, should be, or is. And we don't know none of that. But we sitting here, made up all of these different scenarios. And we did it with the first one, we did it with the second one. And I'm like, man.
Is your point that we don't have his side of the story? You just waste 2 minutes to say we don't have his side of the story?
And saying we don't think.
Because Kenneth addressed that at the very beginning.
I waited. You really impatient, aren't you? You
just long stroking nothing.
Okay, so let me long stroke. Let me long stroke. Maybe
no, you wasting time.
Maybe you can learn from it. You know, I've been here for 2 hours listening to you.
And all you did was repeat the same points that somebody else made.
Okay,
you gotta let the brother
Trey,
he's been talking for 2.5 minutes. He didn't say nothing.
You've been talking for 2 hours, and ain't nobody said.
I haven't even been here for 2 hours, bro.
Actually, we made good tangible points because you said we can't think.
Well, let me
Mr.
say
Payne,
this.
Don't do that. Because you done made like 8-9 narratives on something. You asked her to rewind it because you wasn't paying attention. Then you started going on flights of fancy. He done came. Okay, Mr. Payne. All due respect, he came up taking shots.
Come on, fellas. Come on, fellas. Let Sean go. Let Sean go. Let him go. Go ahead, Sean. Go ahead.
I came up speaking my observations, and if you got a problem with my observations, then that's on you. But the observation was that you sat here and you made up all of these scenarios to defend this man. You didn't take into any consideration that maybe this woman was everything she said was the truth. Perhaps that could have been the case, but we didn't even consider that. We didn't even think that's possible.
Okay, and I have to stop you right there because that's the first point I made.
Oh my God!
So you were listening with 2 hours with earplugs in. That's the first point I made.
And what was that? And what was the rest of the conclusions that you came up with?
Okay, to answer your first question, I said we can only take a sample size of what she's saying because there's also his side and the truth.
That's not what I just said. That's not what I just said. I said
you asked me a question.
I said if we considered everything that she said as the truth. That's what I said.
Okay, so you asked me a question. I believe I answered it.
Okay, and
100%. You say you were listening for 2 hours and taking notes, and you didn't hear that part.
Bro, you said that, and I agree. You did say that she could have. We don't know both sides, and we don't. But you came up with a whole bunch of conclusions of the other side, bro.
Okay,
you specifically,
Sean, you're 100% correct. That's what made good speak on a panel. You said we didn't think. To think, we made opinions. That requires thought.
I didn't. Well, don't take my words too sensitively.
No, it's not sensitive. I'm answering it logically.
The point that I'm making is that can you logically consider that everything she said is the truth, other than the opinions that you came up with? And let's go from there and let's discuss that portion.
So that question can be answered. I do not believe she's 100% wrong because we do not know what he said and the truth. Those are two other factors. But
I said, true. I said, can you consider that everything she said is the truth? Not, no. We don't know. I'm asking for discussion purposes, not, and this is the portion, and this is the reason why I said we came to a conclusion that we just have an issue with trusting a woman's point of view. That's where I
spent a career listening to stories from people telling me what happened. People very rarely tell the truth. Very rarely do they tell on themselves. And if you listen to that letter, she is not going to tell on herself. Had she done a better job of detailing the entire scope, both his side and hers, we wouldn't have had to come up with his side. But she did a poor job of that. So we have no choice but to make up what his side may be because we don't have his side. But people very rarely, I'm talking about I spent a career doing this, of asking people what happened. And you think people tell me, well, this is what I did. They don't do that.
You're right.
So no, I don't believe that everything that she said in that letter is the truth. I don't. I would say probably about half to maybe 65% of it is probably true. She's leaving some things out.
And what I said is that was obvious. It was very obvious that you didn't believe it. It was very obvious that Kenneth didn't believe it. It was very obvious. So my
Anybody
point
with
that
common sense would not believe it. All of
okay,
it.
so earlier we was speaking of common sense. Earlier we was talking about the young lady who didn't have common sense because she was being pimped, and everybody's cheerleading the pimp, and I'm like, yo, why are we cheerleading a pimp because she don't have common sense?
I didn't
No,
cheer.
Sean. Yeah. We weren't cheerleading for the pimp.
Basically, he was pimping her in the first
Okay,
scenario.
fair enough.
And
That's your
nobody
opinion.
said anything about it was
She was
I
selling her
did.
body for sex.
That's
I
your
did, Sean.
opinion.
And so did
pimping
you. So did
isn't
Dr.
you don't
Steele.
so y'all trying to say that pimping only you get your body sold? Y'all know better
No,
than
didn't
that.
say
Stop
that,
playing.
but you just offered your opinion. That's your
Okay,
opinion, and we respect.
okay. So can I finish my opinion? My opinion that I was saying is that she was being pimped. She got lied to. She got scandaled or whatever. But there was a lot of different ways that y'all described it. And I was just sitting there like, okay, cool, yeah, all of that. But no one once took any accountability for that man who was doing that deceptiveness. And that was what I spoke about 2 weeks ago. We it's part of the game. She should know better. She did, and I agree with a lot of those points. But the point is, nobody said nothing about him.
That's a lie.
Nobody.
I did.
That's not true.
That's a lie. I gave a caveat.
Okay. All right. I guess I was
Hey, go ahead, fold your cape
Not
up.
listening.
Fold your cape
Intentionally.
up, bro.
All
Put it
right,
up.
For 2
so
hours and taking notes.
The funny thing is,
we're gonna move on.
I wasn't. Yeah, please do, because I'm not listening. But a lot of the information you shared is not correct. You've been heavy on two years when she clearly said 2.5 years. You listened to it twice.
Okay, well, 30. Give her 30 months.
Okay.
Give 30 months. So you want to pull straws that he had to deal with a bereavement, her pushing the issue, giving an ultimatum, breaking up with him, causing 2 arguments within 2 days, bothering his family, also bird watching to see his progress when he left her. That's me chronologically holding it in my head. Not sitting out for 2 hours and making assumptions and then coming up here and taking shots.
I'm not making assumptions. I'm telling you directly what I observed. If you feel that there's shots, my apologies.
Sean, give me 2 seconds. I'll land the plane right now, and then chime in saying I've been sitting here taking notes for 2 hours, and then throwing underhanded shots, saying the people on the panel are not thinking
shots.
because they're taking you came up with
sharing my
absolute.
observations. I know, and I did, and it's not anything that I'm trying to take a shot at. And my apologies.
No, it's not. No,
that
we're
way.
having conversation.
But I did directly say what I felt and what I saw, and it wasn't to offend you. It was
You're
just
not
what I saw.
offending me. That's why I said
what I'm saying is underhand. What I'm saying is underhanded shots. What's the point of that?
You came
I'm
up
telling you
taking shots
directly.
saying that the panel wasn't thinking and everybody was against her. Just like the first girl. Then you came and said, hold on. So I'm gonna elaborate. And then you said the first girl, oh, we all was against her while he was pimping her. You said all.
Okay.
You used absolutes.
Okay.
Did you not?
Did anybody say that he was taking advantage of her and that wait and that he should be accountable for that?
Yeah.
You didn't listen to my caveat then. You said you were taking notes for 2 hours.
2 hours, he ain't hear a thing.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna move on. Y'all can rewind tomorrow when you do the playback because I watch it back, We're gonna move on to this. It's a guy that I found, and I actually really like his content. I encourage any and everyone to check him out if you haven't already. Dr. John Deloney. I found some clips of his that I want to play. Excuse me. And this is the first one. He asked a question at the end, and I want us to dive into that a little bit.
Are dating, you're practicing safety, and safety and desire are often incompatible without some really high intentionality. So you meet somebody and it's wheels off. You're in love, you are attracted to them, you're into it, you're feeling it. You don't have to practice desire. Desire is all over you. What you're practicing is safety. Is he going to call me back? He said he's going to pick me up at 8. I wonder if he's going to actually show up. And when you have attraction and it's just glowing, time doesn't matter, food doesn't matter. When you are surrounded with attraction, it takes over, nothing matters. You're practicing. And then you get married. And safety becomes a given. And then what slowly starts to fade is that desire, that glow. And we know how to practice safety, but we have nothing culturally to teach us how to practice desire.
So he says we have nothing culturally that teaches us how to practice desire. What do you guys think about that? I see a lot of confused.
He's absolutely right.
Well,
said
the volume was low to me. I don't know if it was me or it seemed like the volume was low.
I think it was the video.
It was low.
It was low because I had to really focus in to hear what he had to say too.
And somebody had some type of clicking going on.
You want me to play it again?
Yeah, I think it was all pain.
Play it again.
It's probably all pain with all that noise.
Everybody mute up, everybody.
I was on mute. Thank you.
Yeah, please mute because it is loud. Sorry.
When people are dating, you're practicing safety. And safety and desire are often incompatible without some really high intentionality. So you meet somebody and it's wheels off. You're in love, you are attracted to them, you're into it, you're feeling it. You don't have to practice desire. Desire is all over you. What you're practicing is safety. Is he going to call me back? He said he's going to pick me up at 8. I wonder if he's going to actually show up. And when you have attraction and it's just glowing, time doesn't matter, food doesn't matter. When you are surrounded with attraction, it takes over, nothing matters. You're practicing. And then you get married. And safety becomes a given. And then what slowly starts to fade is that desire, that glow. And we know how to practice safety, but we have nothing culturally to teach us how to practice desire.
Okay, so he says we have nothing
Culturally
to help us practice desire. So Mandra, go ahead. You were about to go.
He's absolutely right. There's nothing culturally that helps us practice desire. You're left to your own devices to do that. Some guys get it, some women get it. Most don't, though. We're talking the vast majority. I mean, look at how many people who are married for a certain amount of time and they talk about losing the desire for their partner, or they don't feel desired by their partner. You know what I mean? It happens all the time. It's very much so subjective. Like, you ever dated someone, but then after you dated a while, it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? You still like that person, the whole 9 yards, but you know, the desire is not the same as it was when you first met. It happens, you know. And there's some people that then you might date another person where you desired that person the whole time. You know what I mean? The desire never left. So it's very much so subjective. No one learns how to do this. You know, we don't even learn relationship skills. That's why we have all these panels on YouTube. It's just a bunch of panels of people trying to get it right and trying to figure it out first. Trying to figure it out and then trying to get it right after that. So, I mean, yeah, there's nothing culturally that we have to help that. I mean, we get up here and say, well, we want a woman in shape. Yeah, but, you know, brother, you like shit food too. You know what I'm saying? So it's a whole lot of mess, but he's absolutely right. Culturally, nothing.
Okay. I'll go to Dr. Still. We haven't heard from you in a while.
Well, as I'm listening to this video, I'm trying to figure out, what does he mean by safety?
So like he gave the example of when you're dating, you practice safety, right? So when you're dating, like the example he gave, are they going to call me? Now, if they call you, you know, you feel safe. You have this consistency, you have this flow going on per se. And then he goes, when you get married, it's a given. You know, you continue to do those things. But he says there's no cultural way that we practice desire. He also mentioned in the beginning of the video how when you're first dating someone, you have that glow, that desire, that spark, that light around you. And once you get married, it dims, it fades. And so he's saying, is there a cultural way that we practice desire like we practice safety during the dating phases?
Well, from my understanding, desire is never practiced. It comes instantly. Desire can't even be taught. It is something that you feel. When you look at something. You look at something and it's desirable, but like someone else has mentioned, when you know somebody for a lengthy period of time, you begin to see some red flags, and your desire wears off. Nobody can teach you desire. You decide what it is. You cannot really, well, you can have discipline when it comes to desire, but even that is something that you have to decide how to discipline it, because some people do have discipline when it comes to desire. Some people do not. Sometimes it can be easily turned off. Sometimes it cannot. So again, there's no way that desire can be taught. It's something you feel instantly.
I agree.
Practice?
Oh, practice? No, I don't think there's any practice to it. It just comes at an instant.
So if you were somebody for 40 years and then it comes in an instant, how do you're saying that the desire in your relationship is not something that you can cultivate again and again and again?
Cultivate? I'm not really big on these words. Cultivate.
Grow.
What do you mean by cultivate?
Tend to like water to a flower.
Can I answer that, Precious? Because I'm
well, I can say the definition of cultivate, which is to prepare and use land for crops or garden, try to acquire or develop a quality, sentiment, or skill.
I'm almost 40 years in. I can answer you. Right. See, one of the things I think men don't realize, and this is one of the faults. One of the things I not negotiated, but had a conversation with my wife. I think if you're going to get married, and we're talking about marriage, you got to find out what the sexual biorhythm is of your mate. That's one thing you have to do. We don't ask that of our woman, and a lot of men don't, because for whatever reason, okay? Because if you're really going to be married for the duration, she's going to be your only conduit for sex if you're serious. So you got to understand her sexual biorhythm, and is it compatible to yours? And it's as simple as that. Now, can things change? All right, but the things that you did to turn her on, you could never lose. Right? You can never lose. And I still know the buttons to press on my wife after 30 something years on. Right? So and listen, I can't even look at myself in the mirror, but for some reason why she's still turned on, I have no idea. Okay. I don't even want to look at me. I turn the lights down low to spare her ass,
I can't believe it, Jesus. I can't believe it, Jesus.
We don't want to look at you either. I pain. Believe it.
So all I'm trying to say is maybe it's not cultural, but that might just be in the Western culture. I don't know about other cultures, but I think those things are discussed. And for anybody who wants to be in a long-term relationship, in a monogamous relationship with their woman, these are the things you got to do before you open that gate and let her in. And so some guys fail to I'm gonna land it here, so I'm not gonna be long. So a lot of men fail to have that discussion with their woman, because you have to let her know her obligation, at least one of them, is to keep you sexually satisfied. And in the meantime, it'd be a bonus if you could satisfy her too. You know? And
Yeah.
that's just
And
what it is. I'll end it there.
Yeah.
And I actually do agree with you. Communication is key. You know, you meet each other, you know what turns each other on. You know, and sometimes it does take communication, you know, to see, well, what can turn each other on so that you can continue to do it, or at least continue to do the best, because there are some natural instances that wouldn't allow you to do so.
Of course.
You have to do the very best you can.
So let's just talk about the spade of spade. If you're a man in the older years and your shit don't get hard no more, you gotta be willing to talk to her about how you're gonna satisfy her without her getting some cheeks busted from the outside. So you might be willing to have to do some other thing. I'm not saying,
Well, it's gonna.
wait a minute. I'm not saying I'm the guy.
Hey,
I'm trying to say these are real conversations.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Men, I was just gonna say, men have been conditioned to think that around the age 40, I think it's supposed to start working. It's all in your diet, what you're eating. You've been active in the gym. Yep. Men still getting on at 60, 70 years old. So, but like most people, I mean, even all these commercials that you see about the Blue Chews and everything that's going on, if you go in the gym, you're doing those deadlifts, them squats, it helps keep everything flowing down there.
And cardio.
Yep. You're doing cardio, you're going to be all right.
Hit that treadmill.
Yeah.
Yep.
There should be no reason why men at the age like 35 starting to struggle. And then once you start using those things, then you become dependent on it. So, I mean, that's a tough conversation to have with somebody. So I suggest you just keep your thing working.
And then the body, and here's the thing. Look, here's the thing, JR. And then your body adapts to everything. Some faster than others. Like I know me, my body adapts to everything fast. I can't take medicine long because my body adapts to it, and then I have no effect. It has no effect anymore. But guys will take the Viagra and depend on it, but then their body adapts to it eventually, and then the Viagra no longer works, or they need a higher dosage.
Yeah, because it becomes mental.
Exactly.
It all in the head. But it's the foods that we eating. It's been studies to show that our T levels are down compared to in the past. So I always tell men to go get their T levels checked out, because you'd be surprised that they're probably low. So you have to figure out a way to how to increase your T levels. And a lot of that garbage, a lot of that meat. Some people say they got to keep eating that meat, pause, but they got to keep red meat, all that garbage that they eat, man, is bad for you, man. It's bad for you. Like the best way for you to go nowadays is to probably get a garden. Go get you a garden and then just try to eat some organics, vegetables, and just stay away from that meat, because that's what's messing us up.
It depends on where you get it from.
I think the problem is.
Yeah, but Lippeef has a good point, fellas, because you overlook. Hink says it all the time too, fellas. Stop overlooking your health. I'm speaking on it now because I stress it too. That's what my channel's about. Don't overlook that, fellas. I mean, you'd be amazed. You can still perform like a 30-year-old if you're 50, if you keep up with yourself. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not giving up meat. Shut up, JR. Nope.
Oh, bro.
I ain't giving up steak, bro. Come on. Pause. Not that kind, but you know what I'm saying?
It's all in the process.
I lift weight. I got too much muscle mass, dude. I can't. I don't want to be.
This is why me and man drop butt. This is why me and man drop butt head.
Yeah, I hit the weights too much, man. I can't.
And this is why me and man drop butt head, because I believe in getting the smoothie. He don't like smoothie. I'm trying to get a lot of more greens and a lot of more vegetable in my system, because for one, I'll be honest with you though. Our culture, meat was a big thing, but then when you don't eat a lot of grains and vegetables, it messes you up a lot. JR is from my country, so you understand that better than I do.
What country are you from?
Nigerian. I'm a Nigerian.
Igbo, Yoruba.
Yoruba. But the thing is, when you don't eat a lot of grain and vegetable, it's not in your diet way too much meat, it can mess you up real bad. Really
but good brother, the food over there is different. They're even processing.
I know, but that's the thing. We don't process our food over here. This is why I hate to say it's not just only in Africa. In Japan, Singapore, I'm hearing about the same thing too. They don't like to eat too much processed food. America is heavy on processed food. That's the biggest problem. And that
See,
messed up your system.
yeah, because I challenged that about the meat and stuff because I'm from the British Virgin Islands, and I got family members 90 hitting 100 still eat meat to this day, but they don't eat processed foods, and they have family that's farmers. They pick straight out the ground, and they healthy as horse, walking up hills and the whole nine. So
Same thing in my country.
100%.
I'm used to that type of labor, and I miss it. I'll be honest with you. I wish I could go back and go to the same crazy labor, but the thing is, the food over there is pure.
And a fun science fact, everybody watching, I eat meat once a day. The rest of it is alkaline. The whole rest of my diet, the whole day is alkaline. So you can have meat.
Oh, I was gonna say what?
Pause, not that kind.
So
the meat. Hey, listen. The meat hate is the beef hate is.
oh, okay, man.
What is
Man,
it?
I eat meat every day.
Pause. Anyway, I can't believe I gotta say that.
Hey, man, blame Trev, man.
I guess, brother. I mean, you know. But the thing is, I'm an extremely active person, so that counts too. That's why I get away with it. I'm an extremely active person.
Did everybody go on the video? Everybody spoke on the video as far as.
I didn't get a chance to pick on the video, but it was too late for that because I could see the argument.
Did you see it? Did you video?
I didn't get a chance to see it, but I heard the argument about it.
All right, I'll play it again. You can go, and then King can go after you.
All right.
When people are dating, you're practicing safety.
Mute up.
And safety and desire are often incompatible without some really high intentionality. So you meet somebody and it's wheels off. You're in love, you are attracted to them, you're into it, you're feeling it. You don't have to practice desire. Desire is all over you. What you're practicing is safety. Is he going to call me back? He said he's going to pick me up at 8. I wonder if he's going to actually show up. And when you have attraction and it's just glowing, time doesn't matter, food doesn't matter. When you are surrounded with attraction, it takes over, nothing matters. You're practicing. And then you get married. And safety becomes a given. And then what slowly starts to fade is that desire, that glow. And we know how to practice safety, but we have nothing culturally to teach us how to practice desire.
All right.
Oh boy, not that topic. How many arguments have I been on that topic for 7 to 10 years? Can I be blunt right here?
It's the real precious. Give it to us real. Let's go.
Dating is a Ponzi scam. I'm gonna put it like that.
You say dating is?
Dating is a Ponzi scam.
I require elaboration.
Yeah.
You may not like what I said because I'll put it like this.
Yeah, not that I like it or not. I just need more data.
Let me explain why I'm coming to that standpoint because
Please do.
I'm not a spiritual Christian like those fake heathens who be in the church pretend to be something they're not. I'm more a biblical nerd, but I don't play games with what I've seen over the past 2 decades. Now, from my upbringing, dating is not even allowed. It's friendship, courtship, and marriage. Dating is used to deter people from what is actually put to build community. That's number one. I've been through the dating. I get it. I understand it. I see the outcome of it. It's more of a waste of time. When you're dating somebody, you're bringing a false representation of yourself. You're not being actually who you are. Which is why in other cultures, they don't permit dating. If you want to meet someone's daughter, you go to the vetting system. You pay a dowry or a bride price, whatsoever. Which is why a lot of people say, you don't have to take my word for it. I did a dating thing. I see what it brought to my life. If I had my way to go back in time, I wouldn't be dating I don't in the first place, to be honest with you guys. That is the brutal honesty. I wish I never dated, to be real with you guys. Because there's some situation I've been through, I hate to say that, I had to lock myself in the gym for 6 to 7 hours a day, straight, every day to control the rate of betrayal and anger. Because of how much time I invested in that particular relationship, quote unquote, dating. If I'm telling my kids, if I was you, protect yourself, don't go into dating. Go to the friendship mode. If that person in your program is going to go to the same path with you, go from friendship to courtship. Dating lead to shacking. Let's be real. Lead to heartbreak. Let's be real. Lead to wasting people's time. Let's be real. So I'm coming from a Christian home, which used to be super strict, which I broke the mode and tried not to follow it, and I regret it. But to me, dating the Ponzi scheme, it's a scam.
Wow,
I don't have to. I don't have to go on biblical scripture, which I'm not going to do because I hate to say this. Anyone want to try to get me in that type of realm? I'm going to beat you with a smack knife, and you're not going to win. That's a pure guarantee. But from personal experience, and I see why I say dating it's a scam. Look what we have to today's society. Look at the life we're living today right now. That is the end result of dating. If you don't believe me, then there's something in the water you're drinking.
You make a valid point, and
I'm just being brutally honest because
although it's not popular,
this is Brooklyn Black David when he really pissed off. I don't got no time for the BS, only for the truth.
Dave, you make a valid point, and what I was saying is that while it's not popular, that's part of what I was trying to lean towards earlier. We have a real issue with trusting, and part of dating is to learn whether or not you can trust somebody. And it's an unfortunate reality. I personally would love to adopt the saying, I want to marry to date, not date to marry, which is I heard an old school saying, and it lends to what you was just saying, Dave. And quite frankly, although it's not popular, I think it's probably the most healthy, because really we go into things skeptical, we go into things not trusting, we go into things really on guard, which is kind of like we're going into things hurt, we're going into things vulnerable, and we're afraid. And so because society has definitely advocated that, and because of where people are today, and this is the reason why I push back so much, because we all kind of have that sense, and unfortunately, what is the resolution to that? We just keep on getting more bitter. We keep on growing more skeptical, non-trusting. And to your point, this is the result of it. We have a bunch of people who are either single and unhappy, or can't find somebody, real skeptical, non-trusting, or all types of things, including myself. So I'm definitely trying to readjust that, because I think that it's becoming problematic. And the more I hear these conversations, the more I hit is we're just adding to it. We're lending to it. We're actually being a part of it, and that's what's becoming frustrating to me, because we are a part of it, yet we complain about it all the time.
If there was no dating, there won't be no high body count.
I think you're speaking from your perspective, and you also pointed out a perspective of how you stepped out of what your family norm is and you got hurt, and you look at it like possibly karma, and then you made a whole narrative as for why it's not fruitful, and you wrote a dissertation about it.
But even though it's not fruitful, you don't have to take my experience. I'm looking at the general public after this. And for what I'm seeing, we have a huge number of single parents, mostly single moms. You have a huge generation of people who body count surpass 30 and then some, to the point whereby you have younger generation practices all the way to middle school. Where is the discipline? Where is the restraint? Where the responsibility behind all this?
It starts in the home.
It does start in the home, but yet
And your numbers are skewed, because I think you're speaking from your view of how you see things. I agree that there's a lot of things going out here rampant that are not good, but I would like to be an optimist in this given situation, that you had a bad experience and you made a whole narrative. As for why it's not.
I'll be another spin for you. For a guy who have been to over 300 schools in New York City, on the border, for the guy who have been to over 300 schools in New York City to deliver computer, what I saw in the school when parents not see what's going on, only if the parent knew what their kid was doing, you'd be surprised. So I'm not surprised when Hank did what he said when I first saw it almost a decade ago. This has been going on for far too long because social media exposed it. If social media was not existed, no parent would have known in the first place. I've been telling parents, check your daughter back before they go to school.
Nothing is an absolute, but I agree.
And I get that, but people who are not from this country or not part of this American culture, they don't believe in dating, and they restrict that to reduce body count, to reduce having their daughter be test drive, which in most cases mostly happens. And from my culture background, if they catch you sleeping with their daughter, and they know that you have been doing it, what will happen? You'll be found, dragged, and forced to do a shotgun wedding. Ain't no father will let their daughter be test drive, but are you marrying their daughter?
So what you're in agreement with is following the ways of old, where you're forced into marriages and you don't have free choice.
I'm not saying forced into marriage. When I'm saying that, if you want to marry my daughter, give me a reason why you're the right person for me. I'm not saying force it. But what I'm telling you is,
Shouldn't that be her choice? And you trust your teaching that I taught my kids what is tangible in this world?
I know.
And then let them make their decisions?
And I know, but based on the general public, choices have to do what we have today. You cannot argue that fact. Don't take my anecdote. Don't take my anecdotal experience. I'm looking at the collective, at the whole. What have choices have done for today's society? What has it produced? What are the end results for choices and freedom with no responsibility, no repercussion? What do we have here today?
It's not an absolute.
I'm one
not
person.
everything is a monolith.
And I say everything is a monolith.
You're making it sound that way.
No, it's not a matter of me sound. I just look at the data, I look at the statistics. I'm one person that can say society is everything screwed up and there's no turning back. What I've seen over the years. I'm one person who don't give a crap about society norm. But I understand society is sick in the head. Let's keep it real. Because all the propaganda, all the nothing people want to put for themselves, but don't want to face the truth because they know why they don't got the gall nor the ball to face it head on. They're too punk, they're too whipped, or too afraid to deal with the truth. I'm being forced to live with the truth each and every day of my life, and regardless of what the truth is, I take it as it is. If you will be really my friend, tell me the truth. Either I like it or I don't. When you tell me a lie, you're my worst enemy. And to today's society, like to lie to themselves. That's why we have what we have here today. You can't say dating is not the repercussion we have in today's society. It's part of it, but it produced what we have today now.
I think it's a talking point. Dating is not a Ponzi scheme.
No,
and this is a Western society.
You may not think that way, but what I've seen, what I've observed, how the economy be built on it, how it's mostly focused on women forcing the guys to spend more money to X, Y, and Z. Now you have all this one that are wine dining. Please, I'm worth their hands. I'm not gonna leave at the curb. I'll deport your ass. That's just me.
Brother, I cannot discount what you're saying. You're saying a lot of valid things.
I'm being honest though.
I never said you weren't, but you're bringing that to Western culture where people have free choice. And despite all that you pointed out, which it is rampant, there's a lot of bad, there's a lot of divided people, there's a lot of people that don't know how to have discourse and take a woman's hand, and chivalry is considered dead in many places. But I have to push back on that, because if we were going back to dowries where they bought linen and cows, and your family curtailed you to marry that said person so you can make good with the next village, as they do. Okay, I'm just giving a point of reference. I'm giving a point of reference. I think we're evolved enough to make free choice. And at the beginning of your diatribe, I said it starts in the home. Then it gets out in the world. Of course, your kids are going to do stuff that you don't know, but let's stay on relationships, grown relationships. I think people should have free choice to at least fail. at some times so that they can know what they want rather than be locked into something with someone that they resent for a lifetime. I'll land my plane there.
So my man Keith, Kenneth, I'm sorry, Kenneth. Do you feel like a lot of people got too many options?
No, it's the 80-20. Only 20% got real options. Other 80% is out there looking for something. Not every man has sex. Yeah. Not every man has access to good relationships.
So when you sit there and say she can make her own decision, and you don't like that, I guess Black David is going to make the decision for her. You said, well, she should be able to decide for herself. Maybe he realize his daughter's got too many options, and she's not a good decision maker. So he's doing what he thinks best for the daughter.
Think if you had a daughter, I would trust that you raised your daughter right so that she can think for herself. That's the part I said before that. You should give someone free will and trust
think for herself, but doesn't mean she doesn't make bad decisions on certain things.
You have to allow it to happen. If your child fell every time,
I don't want to do that.
If your child fell every time you rushed it or coddled them, would they learn?
No, they wouldn't. But there's certain things you shouldn't have to deal with in order to learn. I don't need to learn. I don't need to go to prison to learn that doing certain crimes is bad. Now I don't want to be going to prison and be locked down and told what to do and when to wake up and all that. I don't need to go through that shit in order to learn. You understand what I'm saying?
Exactly. But Hank, I believe the teaching that you'd give before your child stepped out that door, this is how I live my life, and I want you to be an example of it. So I gave you the blueprint. Anything that you do beyond that point is a cognitive decision by you. That's for how you wish to live your life.
But if I could give my child the tools, right? If I give my child the tools and they still show that they not ready to retain them, they got to take a bump on the head in order to learn. Yeah, let me help you out. Let me help you out.
I get that.
Kenneth, let me ask you this, Kenneth.
Hold on, Brother Payne. I'm going to make the decision for you because it's obvious you're not capable of making the right decisions. I don't need to. I could see by doing the times when I was teaching you making bad decisions. So that's why I'm going to make the decision for you. Yeah, that's not the right man for you.
That's what I was going. That was where I was going.
This is not for you. So no, allow me to help you out. Don't look at me disrespecting you. Don't look at me not trusting you. I'm just trying to do you a solid.
Okay, you was a kid once. When your parents stopped you from doing something, did you ever sneak and do something that they told you not to do?
Yes, I did. And guess what? It cost me.
How many people that you know that came from strict families that put down a platform for them to do, and once they got a taste of freedom, they got buck wild?
You're right, but I also seen the same ones who followed the teachings of their strict parents and didn't do it too. I've seen both sides.
So you would agree it's a coin flip?
Look, I'd rather take a chance in doing that than not and seeing the results.
So from the stance you're taking, I would agree that you would push your son into arranged marriage.
Would I push my son into arranged marriage?
Yes, sir.
I wouldn't have a problem with it if we could find that right woman who's willing to do that. I would have a problem with it at all, bro.
And he had no choice.
Yeah, he has a choice to stay with her. He could always get out. Right? I'm gonna set it up. I'm saying, man, this is the best. I think the best for you. Please believe me. Trust me. I've got you to this point. Trust what I'm telling you. This is the best for you. Now, if he stays in it or not, that's something different. I can't make him stay in it.
I never questioned. You would do the best that you would do for your child. Like when I said it starts at home, the best that you can do, you can line up all the ducks. That don't mean they're gonna walk down that path. They might wild lost. That's all I was saying.
They're both making some great points. Choice isn't always like, for example, we said an arranged marriage. It doesn't have to be arranged, but if in fact they're making a choice, because usually if they're bringing a dowry, they have made a choice of that person, and then they're suggesting that, I guess the reason for the dowry is because they're vetting, the father or the family is vetting that person to be responsible enough to take on the responsibilities that he say he wants from this young lady. And so it's a choice that he's making, saying he wants that young lady, and then the choice of the young lady taking interest, because usually traditionally in that tradition she's going to take interest because she's taking heed to what her family has already taught her. So when and moving forward, it's not like they're taking away choice because it's suggesting, or they're suggesting to be to this person, or to be with this person because that person took on the responsibility. That's like traditionally out here in the States, us asking the father for the hand of marriage. Unfortunately, that's not as popular as it used to be. But that's what was used to happen when we saw somebody that we wanted to make an honorable woman. Unfortunately, we ain't thinking about honor anymore. We're thinking about a lot of other things. But I just land there.
So let me throw this out at you. One of the biggest things I think I failed my daughters is that I didn't have somebody arranged for them to marry. And this is a reflective thing because that's not what Americans do. I know one Jamaican guy he was a younger guy that worked with me. His parents arranged for him to marry one of their daughters because his family and her family were close. And they just happened to be in the same age. He went down and met her a couple of times and they cultivated a relationship. And they got married. They're still together after 15 years now. They got 2 sons. They're doing really well. They're both educated and they're both working. So if I had it ever to do over again, and just being an ugly American, I would have changed that. I didn't think about that because that's not what we culturally do. We let the women and we let the men go fend for themselves and find a mate. But with all the people I know, frat brothers in my peer group, the ones who had kids with the same time I had kids, I really don't. I don't tell my daughters this, but in my head, I really feel like I failed them. I should have had a whole bunch of families that I vetted lined up with kids for them to make a decision on their own, but to at least to introduce them to the sons that these guys and gals had, who I know come from vetted families. That's a big failure on my part. That's how I feel. Because now they have to deal with the horse shit that's going on out there. Go ahead.
Okay. So with arranged marriage, okay, so we're on this subject, arranged marriages, right? And then I'm relating it to the video that I played. So in an arranged marriage, how do you practice desire if you don't know?
Can I answer that real quick? It says I wouldn't practice desire because I can't make them marry anybody I introduce them to. I would expect them to cultivate a relationship that would encompass whether they're compatible or not. If they're not, then so be it. But the fact that they had choices of somebody who's from a vetted family is all I'm talking about. Whether it came to fruition or not is not up to me. But
and Precious, I'm sorry, Ben, go ahead. No, I was going to say desire is something that let's just use this example analogy. How many times have we been around somebody a long time and initially it wasn't a desire, but because we were around them, we found something desirable and they became very desirable.
I can't answer that. I don't know. Maybe
we got off the path that these arranged marriages because they were created. So that's a wealth exchange.
Right.
You're not gonna have your daughter marry the pauper down the street, even though you're cool with his family. It was to maintain the wealth or grow that of the family. True or not true, sir?
Kenneth, let me put it to you this way.
No, that
is not true. That is not true.
Wait, hold on for a second. Let me just answer one thing. Y'all can go. Most people in your peer group are going to be somewhere close to who you are, or else they wouldn't be in your peer group. That's all I'm saying. There wouldn't be the broke guy down the street. That's not the people you would cultivate family relationship with. There's people in your peer group. That's what I'm saying. That's the assumption I make. Okay, that's it.
I would love to hear from the African brothers the answer to Kenneth's question.
Good evening, guys.
See what you started.
TV and do it.
CBN, go ahead and answer, then I'll go second.
This is your fault,
Okay.
Sean.
Now, I will say this very crystal clear. What Pam was saying is totally correct. If people within your peer group, throughout history, arranged marriage would either continue to be political or they've changed their wealth. But most of the time, it's within your peer group of your same class. If you find someone you think is worth taking care of your daughter within your community, keyword, your community, those communities are tightly and they have gatekeepers. So what I say for the past year and a half, this so-called Black community don't have gatekeepers. So when you have someone within a prominent family that you know that you can trust their son, any one of your son want to marry your daughter, you can say she will take care of my daughter. You believe that because you can see that what they produce is something of rare quality. But we don't have that going on today. Other community does that. That's why it's not always about wealth exchange. It's all about protecting of your lineage. Making sure you have the right people married into your family that build something greater than what you already have built already. So it's not always wealth exchange. In some cases, it could be political, something could be wealth, but it's most about building a stronger lineage.
So you said class, you said it could be political and wealth. So that is an exchange.
It could be based on the people involved.
You said class at first, right?
I say class, good. Mind you, not everybody in the same class of them. You have the super wealthy who do that for more political and wealth. You got people who are working class. It's all about building a stronger lineage. Every class is different based on how they operate and how they negotiate. If I want to make sure my daughter is going to the right family will build something great, I want to make sure that family is upright. They're not shady individual. I will vet the family. With me, I will sit down, talk to them about the father. We'll have conversation. While we having conversation, we let them hang out and get to know each other. After a certain period of time, if I feel like this person family is worth being a part of, then I can trust whether son want to marry my daughter, I will give them the yes. That's how it normally happens. But that is a culture that the former Black America used to have back in the day before they lost it.
They never had it on U.S. soil.
What I heard, they did.
They jumped the grid. Yeah,
a lot of them don't practice it.
No.
Wow, it sounds like even though money is a part of it, trust is something that is very significant. And I've been emphasizing that word a lot tonight. And trust is something that really the dowry displays and implies a bit of trust. You can trust that that man will do. Also, because of the dowry traditions, you already trust that they culturally understand what you're trying to accomplish and why this is being taken place. So it really boils down to, again, trust. That's a design for having some type of vetted, trusted scenario that I think that we miss here in America, especially as we start being removed in generations. And it's an unfortunate reality that I just see it. I'm like, I see it clearly. I observe it all the time. The trust I see is lacking in many of us. And we keep on excusing it and missing it and thinking it's about money and other things. Go ahead, Kenneth. I see.
Well, Ikene was supposed to go after CBN.
Hi, guys.
Good evening.
How you doing?
Morning.
Good evening, guys. Arranged marriage is the best thing that anybody can ever institute into family. Because I'll tell you one other thing that come by with it. When it comes to disease, like those genetic disease is part of arranged marriage, because men would say, I don't want my children to get sick of this or get sick of that. So they look for families that don't have history of certain sickness to merge with their own family. And number two, when it comes to wealth, nobody should ever shame anybody for actually looking for the best that they can use to continue the legacy of their family. You shouldn't shame anyone for that. Yes, they do arrange marriage for wealth. And it's very necessary because, number one, you don't want to bring a bad woman or a bad man into your family lineage to destroy what the family has built over generations. And if you are a man of reputation, a man of reputable character, you don't want your son to marry a prostitute, right? You don't want your son to marry the daughter of a criminal. You don't want your son to marry the daughter of a thief, vice versa. So arranged marriage prevents a lot, because if you look back to Africa today, Africa has become a little westernized, even though Africa fights to keep its tradition. One other thing that has destroyed Africa is Hollywood. Hollywood came and told Africa that arranged marriage was a shame. They shamed us for doing arranged marriage. And guess what we did? We started buying that, falling in love of Hollywood, this Hollywood story. A poor guy marrying a rich woman, a rich girl, a rich man marrying a poor woman, a guy that doesn't have anything marrying a girl with all these worlds. You see, all these things have done nothing but bring distraction and destruction in African families today. Now you see a girl from a very, very good family marrying a boy that is not good for anything, and they end up having a child that is a criminal. That's what we see today. But if they have stick to the ways of our ancestors, that say no matter what you do, vet the family that you're going to marry to. Because I got to say this. My mother was going to marry a man. This man came to my family and asked my grandfather for my mother's hand in marriage. My grandfather deployed a team of men to go and investigate of his family. They went there, they found out that his grandfather actually stole a bicycle. They came to my dad, to my grandfather, and told my grandfather that they found out that his grandfather stole a bicycle. And he called the man's family back to his house. He summoned them and told his father that, I'm sorry, I can't give my daughter to your son because your father stole a bicycle. And that was it. That was how my dad ended up marrying my mom. And how did my dad marry my mom? My dad didn't know my mom. My grandmother was actually the one that found my mom, because my grandmother's friend is my great grandfather's, my grand aunt's best friend. So she saw my mom at her friend's house and asked. Her friend told her, that's her niece. And the next thing she did, she went and told my dad, I found your wife. And my dad came back home and married my mom. And guess what? They lived until my mom died. Most of us that are African guys knew how our parents married. Our parents never knew each other. In some cases, right? I might be born today, and 7 years later, my dad's friend might have a daughter. And then my dad will come to his friend and said, you know what, my son is going to marry your daughter. That's how it starts. Now his friend has to raise and groom that girl to be my wife. Whereas my dad will train me to be a good husband. Guess what is going to happen? 16 years or 17 years later, because those days there was no age, right? I'm getting married to her because my parents said so. And she ended up having all these kids for me. And we live not to the Western happy ever after. No, we live to the duty of the family. Not happy ever after, but to the duty of the family, because it's our duty to bring another generation. Just like a generation brought us, we bring another generation. That's why arranged marriage is the best form of marriage. It took me 9 years. When I saw my wife, I knew she was going to be my wife. It took me 9 years to finally marry her. And I regretted that shit up to today. I should have married that girl 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month after I saw her. Not wait 9 years. Nobody should keep anybody's daughter that long. When you do arranged marriage, it profits women. But if you take away arranged marriage, it profits men.
So, brother, let me ask you a question. Where are you from? Nigeria as well?
I'm Nigerian.
Okay, so if I was a rich man in Nigeria and I adhered to arranged marriages, how many wives can I have?
Okay, let me put it this way, because you know what? Polygamy is the most misconceived logic I've ever had in the United States. When we practice polygamy, we don't practice polygamy for sex. We practice polygamy because we are in need of sons. You see what I'm saying? Because some family, when you marry the first wife, you might have maybe 4 girls and 1 boy, or 3 girls and 1 boy, or 2 girls, or 2 boys and 2 girls, and then maybe one of the boys end up dying. Your family, your mother, not just you, will tell you you have to marry a second wife because your wife can't have their kids anymore. And the reason why we then marry more wives is because our mother said so. That's number 1. Number 2, if that only son dies, your lineage is ceased. That means your legacy is gone forever. Women don't carry legacy, men carry legacy. So we have to produce more male child. That's why we practice polygamy, because the first wife can't produce anymore, and we don't want to send her home to her father. So we marry another wife again. Usually when we do so is when a woman is maybe in her 40s, in the non-child-bearing age, or she can't reproduce because she have had so many kids. Because a lot of reproduction kill women, causes cancer, right? So we reduce that by marrying more women to repopulate our family. It was never for sex.
Okay, thank you for making that point for me. So it is a duty to marry, not to profess any desire or prolonged desire for the wife that you marry, even if she cannot bear you sons. So we can be devoid of the desire context, which sticks with the topic that we are speaking in. So you can take as many wives so you can keep your lineage until you get sons, correct? If my
Yes.
partners could afford it, correct?
That's
Because
correct. That's correct,
right?
because that's correct, because women don't. Your daughters are made to produce legacy for somebody else, right? But your sons are made to carry your legacy.
So,
100% in agreement.
watch the trick bag though, because you're still gonna like that. You're gonna
100% in agreement. So now, since arranged marriages are the best way to go, once a woman becomes in an arranged marriage, you see how she's handled. So she no longer has free will, and a man is to do if you adhere to that, a man is to do with that woman as he pleases. And if she cannot bear him sons, she just has to accept the second wife coming in that can, or the third, or the fourth.
Yeah, let me answer that.
Way to go, right? I'm just
asking.
Let
me answer that. Yeah, let me answer that, because I'm also a father to a daughter, right? It's very, very disingenuous from my daughter to prevent another man from having legacy because of the name of love. You see what I'm saying, right? It's very, very disingenuous. I wouldn't like that to happen to any man. And this is one thing that Americans do that really, really pisses me off. But I'm not going to react based on that. America does not have respect for other people's culture. When people tell you that this is our culture, respect that. If the culture says that the males carry their legacy, respect that.
Okay, brother, watch this. I respect it, but don't impose it saying that's the way.
No, I'm never going to impose it that that's the way. I said that's the best way for us.
My good brother, I'm going to hold you to your words. You came on and you said that is the best way. Did you not?
For us. Yes.
No. You didn't say for us. You said that is the best way. I listened to you.
And it's an open contest. It's an open contest. So you can fill the void by saying that's the best way for the whole world, and I can counter that and say no, that's the best way for us.
No, I listened
because
to you.
It's still an open conversation.
I'm not going to correct you on your point because you spoke very spiritedly, and I'm highly in belief of people living their truth. If I lived in Nigeria, I would adhere to their rules. I wouldn't marry like y'all. but I would be respectful. But everything is flawed. So when you come up in here and saying things are absolute, I'm giving you my daughter, and she's marrying into that, and she's marrying you because of duty, not because of love. She will never know desire, or maybe she will. It's a flip of a coin. Then you take on the next wife, say my wife can't bear you sons. I mean, my daughter can't bear you sons. As a father, I have to accept that you'll have maybe one or two more wives that can, and she may have grown to feel and have desire for you, but she has to be devoid of it and accept what is. But that's the best way to go, rather than teach my daughter free will. Okay, but that's being disingenuous.
No, you can teach your daughter free will, but for me as a man, I didn't come to this world to love. I come to this world to produce. No. I came to this world to leave a legacy behind.
Gotcha.
Not to love.
I just needed to hear that.
Love is not my legacy.
Wait.
My legacy is to my. Yeah, my love is never my legacy. So I'm here to leave a legacy, and love is not one of it.
Checkmate. I got you.
Right. Is everyone good on this one? We're gonna move on to the next one.
I will say this. I understand where they're coming from, and his point is valid. The problem is when we look at what's going on today, that we're going by emotion. Whenever I had the decision based on emotion, it never worked well. I fully comprehend that. I cannot say that I'm not here to love. I love my kids. I love my family. But I gotta ask myself, what will the decision I make? If it's for the best for my family or it will be for the worst? I have to make sure I set them up for success, regardless on how I feel. So I understand where they're coming from, because that is our cultural heritage. He's Igbo, I'm Yoruba. Either way, we still have that same mindset one way or the other. The problem is we boil down to the family, the foundation, the legacy, at the inheritance that come along with it. Whatever you choose to do can affect it either negative or positive. That's a decision at the head of the house we have to make, one way or the other. Because if you look at Africa, we have the core generational wealth that we pass down from multiple generations. I cannot question how they make the decision, either by emotion or by greed. But for some apparent reason, that wealth have been passed down to the next generation to build, to make even stronger.
Here's the thing, Black David, that you Africans have to understand, because Africans, the ones I've talked to, keep asking, why don't American Black people do this and that and the other? You guys had thousands of years to establish your culture. We have not had that time. We have not even had time to establish a culture. We don't really have a culture. We have cuisine that we call Black food, black eyed peas, collard greens, cornbread, the whole nine. But we ate that out of necessity. That was food that was left over to us from slave masters and whatnot. It ain't really our food. It's just some shit we came up with and we kept eating it. Now, I guess you can call that tradition, but as far as establishing family, we don't really have one. Our families were broken up for hundreds of years while we were here. Our first few hundred years, our families were broken up against our will. You know what I'm saying? We got extended family all over this place, and we don't even know who they are. All of us do, if you're descendant of a slave in America.
And I fully understand.
Yeah, you guys had thousands of years to establish this. We have not. This is a very young country, and Black people in America are a very young race.
The brother said disingenuous, and I just had to pause for a second, because even if we were not you, the other brother, so even if we were to adhere to what you said, tell me the truth. Most Africans don't respect American Blacks.
And that's because they never. Here's why. Hold on, here's the thing. He has a point, Kenneth does. I'll say that, because the vast majority of Africans I met, they don't like us too tough. They talk a lot of trash. So, but the thing, but again, here's why. I honestly believe it's because they've never put any thought into it. Like what I just said tonight about you guys having thousands of years to establish your culture and establish a way of life that actually works. You know what I'm saying? You guys have had the time to develop and perfect that. You know what I'm saying? You got it, like the way you described it, Ikene, down to a science. You explain why who, what, where, how, when, and why you do it. We cannot do that. We cannot explain to you why we do what we do. Half the time, because hell, we don't even know why we do it. You know what I'm saying? It's just we just go at what makes sense for us at the time and what makes sense for us in our lives. But as a culture, we have not had the time nor the opportunity to do what you guys have done. And what you've done is an accomplishment. To be sure, we hadn't had the time and opportunity to. And the thing is, hold on. And like I said, Africans and other foreign races, they just not put the thought into it or has someone explain it to them this way before. So of course you come over here and you see all this opportunity, and you're like, wait a minute, I come from like Africa where we had nothing. All this opportunity y'all got here. What the hell is wrong with y'all? Why aren't you taking advantage of this stuff? They don't understand it, but what they're lacking is the knowledge of history and how bad things really were for Black people up until about 60 years ago. So us having all this freedom and opportunity, it ain't been a long time.
You'll say something, man. Why are you going to do this? Let's stop the bullshit, man. Listen, the Africans, they have cultures just like a lot of other Black cultures, but there's no more powerful set of people on the planet fucking Earth than Black Americans. Not only that, because we have Western culture, in 160 years, we went from shit to where we are right now with everything against us. And let me tell you, in South Africa, the reason why Mandela is free is because of Black Americans. Period. If you don't know that, Kenneth, then do your history lesson.
I would hate for you to not have that talk with me about.
Let me just finish. You can say what you're going to say after I'm finished. It was Black Americans who spearheaded all the boycotts to say, free Nelson Mandela, and that's what we did. Right? In America, there's more multi-millionaire Black men under all the oppression we have than everywhere else. Not billionaires, but millionaires. The cultural gap in a lot of other African cultures between people who have wealth and poverty is complete. There's no connection because there's almost no middle class. So let's just stop trying to say Black
Mr. Payne, the richest Black man in the world is in Nigeria.
Hold on for a second.
What are you talking about?
I'll shut up after you can say anything you want. To say Black America, the reason why we're dying in this country is because the puppet masters made it that way. The fact that we hate our women and our women hate us has a lot of connections to the way things have happened in this country. There's a whole laundry list from feminism to all of that stuff. So we're in the predicament we're in because there's people who don't want to see Black Americans with a Western mindset be as powerful and potent as anybody else. You know why? Because we would conquer the goddamn world.
Okay. Well, Kenneth, before you jump on them, Kenneth, before you jump on them, can I just say this? Payne, one thing you said. There's a difference between power and influence. We're not powerful.
No.
We're influential.
Yes.
And we need to understand that so that we may in the future become powerful. But we keep on mistaking.
You don't have no influence either.
That's not true. That's not true. There's a lot of people who have influence that don't have power. We are a reflection of it. We are a reflection of it.
No. You tell me what the real distinct. If you don't have no power, who gives a shit about your influence?
Politicians.
I'm asking you.
I'm answering you. Politicians give a shit about your influence.
No, they don't.
Yes,
they do.
They give
absolutely.
More, they give more. They give more shit about. They give more concern about your influence than your vote.
No, that's power.
No, that's influence because we don't have no power. We don't have no power. We have influence.
No, that's
so y'all, hey fellas, y'all don't believe influence is power?
Here's what it is. Here's what it is. Hold on. Here's what it is, Hank, because people misunderstand power. There are many different aspects to power. Influence is part of it.
It's one of them.
It's a part of it. But influence is, hold on, stop, slow down. Influence in and of itself is not power. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Look at our leaders, our former leaders. They had tons of influence, no power. They had to get them killed off before they became powerful. Because they were gaining power. Martin Luther King was hated by black people. He only had a 32% approval rating amongst black people. But the longer he went, the more influential he got, the more powerful he was getting. And before he got power for real, he had to go. Same with Malcolm X. You had to go. Before they became powerful, they had to go.
Let me give you an analogy. Power is like heat without having any direction. Meaning heat without it being magnified is just heat. But when it's magnified and directed, which is influence directed, that becomes power. Meaning heat can become a laser if you magnify it and direct that directed in a certain place. It becomes a laser that can cut through anything. But without that magnification or that intention or that direction, it's just heat.
It can get lost in the wind.
Right. And so power is that magnifier. Influence
the ability.
Power is the prelude. Power is the prelude. Is the prelude.
Yeah, to turn influence into power or become powerful with influence, you have to be able. You have to be able to turn that heat into a laser. It's your ability to do so. It's just same thing with money, right? Just because you have money don't make you powerful. You have to have the ability to do the right things with that money. Competency.
You have to channel the money.
They understand. Competence is the most important part of having power. The more competent you are, the more powerful you can become.
The more powerful you become. Yeah.
See, let's touch on that point about we have all these millionaires, but what does that mean? In the Constitution that still exists in this land, we're still considered 3/4 of a man. You realize that, right?
You can have and you can have all the money in the world you want, but you still ain't got no power.
You do not own the land. You do not own the land under your house.
You just better ask the question. You ain't let nobody answer.
Wait.
If you guys want to filibuster, why don't we just say y'all want to filibuster?
Okay, Mr. Payne, you just spoke for 4 minutes. I just spoke for about 6 seconds.
I didn't speak for 4 minutes because y'all didn't let me.
Can you blame
I just responded to what you said. I waited in turn.
I love you. You cut me off half
the richest man, I didn't. The richest, you know, the richest man, the black man in the world is in Nigeria. You know that?
I told him that before. He never believed me. I told him that we've argued this before. I told Mr. Penn, wait, Mr. Penn, you've been speaking. I haven't even spoken.
I was talking bullshit. It doesn't matter if you have the richest black man in the world. We're talking about volume, not one motherfucker. Stop it.
Okay. Those rich Nigerians, let's not stop at Dangote.
Angry ass to bed, man. You so angry tonight.
You could line up all the blacks.
You going through some shit, boy. You ain't shaved or nothing. Look, you got a guard.
This is what I told him. This is what I told Mr. Penn, because Mr. Penn has argued this too much. I told Mr. Penn
some of that stuff that JR promotes, baby. You got to see something.
This is what I told Mr. Penn, because I think he's rubbing his beers because there is no single beer, so he's making him like yell at everybody tonight. But Mr. Penn, this is what I've told you. African American population in the United States is about 24 million or 25, right?
It's 40-something million.
Okay, let's say 40-something million. And how many percent of that 40-something million have wealth? How many percent?
A small percentage.
Okay, good. Nigeria is how many million?
I don't care.
240 million Nigerians.
Have what?
No, Nigeria population is 240 million.
Okay.
Do you know how many Nigerians that have wealth?
It sounds like only one. How many?
No.
I'm only joking.
Okay. No, I understand. Do you know that do you know that 6% of Nigerians have $1 million or more?
Okay. That's good. I'm proud of you.
Nigeria is number one in the whole country that has more wealth than anybody in this world. The rest of the West has 1%. Each Western country has 1% that has $1 million or more. Nigeria is the only country on earth that has 6%.
Okay.
There was a reason I mentioned Nigeria.
So that's why I've told you that many times. No black country on earth has wealth near Nigeria. Not even South Africa.
Exactly.
Nigeria.
Now what we're doing is arguing over who the richest man. Who gives a goddamn?
Okay, let's keep that. But
let me say this real fast. Unfortunately, Real Precious has lost power, and so I think JR is gonna pretty much try to get this thing back in order and take control and shut it down when we need to shut it down. I'm getting tired of hearing motherfuckers talking about this Jamaican motherfucker.
Let's not forget Dan Butcher.
Yeah, JR do that if he ever shows up.
Well, he's heard.
Yeah, but
he heard everything.
He didn't want to be associated with you fucking guys. That's why.
Just because he's not on camera, he can hear you.
Right.
I hear everything. I hear.
Yeah, I hear everything. He's there. But,
JR the boogeyman.
yeah, but let's put it this way, Mr. Penn. There's something that you were saying earlier, right? You said that not Mr. Penn. I mean, Mandre. Let me put it this way. Nigerians love African Americans until we show up in America. Just hear me out.
You said
we love Africa until we show up to America. Yeah,
that makes sense. Actually, that makes sense.
Yeah. Just get that from me. We love African American. In fact, we will kill for you until we show up here.
And then
we're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, right.
Why you not the CEO of the company? Why you not running shit? Why is Keisha twerking?
Yeah, and then,
what the hell?
And it's like, he can, like I said, I firmly believe it's because you haven't put any thought into it. That's one. Number two, you're not privy to all the information before you get here. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. It's a cultural shock.
Right. So but then when you guys get the information, just like I gave you this little information tonight, both of you and Black people, like, oh.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The epiphany hits, and you're like, oh, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just a lot of people just don't really put much thought into it. We haven't had a lot of time to do what everyone else has done. We haven't.
Hey, but man, Trey, you know what you said? You just said thought. Well, let's give our final thought. Starting with you, Brother Payne.
Yeah, real quick. Listen.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm about to shut y'all some bitches down.
One of the things I want to say is that we have a class problem in the Black community in America. So, and it's not a small divide; it's a huge divide. The blacks that people might see who are well-to-do don't live in the inner cities. That's why our inner cities are trash. That's why all that stuff that's going in is trash. So it depends on who you want to associate with. None of us on this panel, if we can afford it, will live in the heart of the bad neighborhoods in any city. We're all going to move out. And once you move out, you culturally become different and divided from the people who stay. You know, you don't even speak the same language. And that's the one thing we don't want to really talk as African Americans. And I still feel that our influence around the world is more powerful than almost anybody else, only because we're Black people who have Western ideology. And a Western ideology of white man is actually imperialistic. Actually, it's materialistic. It has a lot of stuff in there, and we can't be here without having a little bit of that shit rub off on them.
I agree, Payne. Thank you, sir, for your final thought. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. I'm gonna give my final thought, and then no interrupting. We didn't interrupt you. Just please be respectful of everybody's final thought. Nobody asks questions. No interruptions. We just gonna. That's how we're gonna do it. Okay, fellas, we can do it. I believe in you guys. My final thought is: Black men, protect yourself at all times. The hell with these mud hut motherfuckers talking about. We as Black men over in the country, in the Western country, fuck them. We're going to do our thing and be the greatest. I believe in nepotism. I'm all for it. So when my time comes and it's time for the Lord to call me home, my son going to take over. We're going to rule this world. One Black man at a time. Right on. Go ahead, Mandrell.
Yo, I don't have any sons. I gotta find somebody worth having a son with first. But that's been the hang up with that. But final thoughts. Listen, people, look before you leap. Number one, okay, and don't stay in a situation when the person has a lot of toxic tendencies. There's a difference between something that's born in trauma and a person is just fucking toxic. You like these examples we were commenting on tonight, what Precious showed. The guy quits his job. She's paid. Why would you pay this guy 40% of your money? Why would you stay for that? I don't understand that. See, you're making the decision to stay there. Yeah, the guy is pitiful. He is. But for me, niggas like that don't exist. They're never in my circle. Okay? But then I have to look at you ladies and hold you accountable for your actions and your poor decision making for staying there as long as you do. Give a guy a chance. I'm with you. I understand that. Stand by your man. Cool. But when your man is himself is sinking the ship, bail out. Because I don't care what culture you're from. If you're a man who doesn't believe women and children first, fuck you. That's the way it is. We die. Okay? That's our job, part of it at least. And we're supposed to die for our legacy and for our family. If you're not ready to do that, don't get married. You're not marriage material. You know? So, fellas, stop taking advantage of women. Don't be a piece of crap, because you are if that's what you're doing. Ladies, yeah, be loyal, but don't be dumb. And I yield my time.
Right on. Thank you. Go ahead, Black David.
How would I say this? I think we need to get back to the basics. Teach our men, young men, to be real men. Teach our daughter to be wife. But also be there to vet the people who will come into your household. Because for one, I believe in whoever my daughter going to marry, I will have to vet and to know who he will be able to the gender is. But there's nothing wrong with making choices on their own. But if my job is to protect you and you're my child, you're part of my domain. So I have every responsibility to make sure you are successful regardless. I think that's something that's to be missing, because we're okay with the free choices, but to me, I'm not okay with it, because my children are my legacy. They're my inheritance. They're my pride and my joy. So I want to make sure they're successful regardless. Yeah, that is Nepotism 2.0. That being said, I want my kid to be successful any way possible. If I have to bet that person, I'm going to bet that person. You're going to marry my son, you a chicken head, bitch, be gone. That's how it is.
Right on, David. Thank you, sir, brother. I appreciate you. Brother Kim, it's on you.
I think we had a lot of fruitful discussions, agreement, disagreements, but, we could agree to disagree and still come together as men. In this world, I believe in the immortal words of Marvin Gaye, only love can conquer hate. And within a given conversation, I think we got to stand on our square, because truth don't need motivation. And I'll wrap it up with that.
Thank you, Brother Kenneth. We appreciate that. Brother Sean, go ahead.
Oh, man. I've been saying it all night, and I continue to say it. Let's learn to trust a little bit better. Not be naive. I get it. But when, in fact, somebody is naive, try and teach them. Try and help them through, and not just damn them for being naive, because especially if they're being naive, it's kind of like I said it last week. We teaching these women to trust men, but if a man ain't trustworthy, and we're saying we want you to trust that liar, that player, we're kind of lending to the problem. So we gotta have men stop lying, have women stop lying, and maybe we can trust a little better. Unfortunately, that's not where we are just yet. I'll end it.
Right on. Thank you, Brother Sean. Ikane, I'm sure you're going to keep it short but sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. This is what I'm going to say, right? If a girl go out there and get a husband or get a boyfriend, whatever she gets, and brings that thing home, and then fail, and then the relationship fails, I blame the woman. The reason why I have to blame the woman is because when a guy says hello to you and you're interested in that guy, the first thing you do is to bring that guy home and let your dad do his job. Let your dad vet him. And when your dad vets the guy and the guy is not right for you, if your dad tells you not to go for that, let it go. And then if your dad tells you to go for it and it fails, let society blame your dad because he should have done a better homework than that. Throughout history, women have never been held responsible for bad marriage. Their fathers are usually held responsible for that. But guess what? Today, they don't want to go through their fathers anymore because their fathers don't agree to their aesthetics. So that's the pain that we're facing today.
Right on, we appreciate your short words, and I praise you got straight to the point. Before I turn it over to my man JR, I wanted to say shout out to Big Ant and No Chaser for the super chat. So with that being said, JR, it's all on you, brother.
We'll go ahead and keep it short, man. I know we always have these opinions and perspectives, but let's make sure that we practicing it within our own homes. Everything starts with self and then affect the people around you, and then that's how we are going to be able to make a change. I know it's easy for us to have these opinions about it, but they ain't not going to listen. They ain't going to listen to you, especially if they don't know who you are and they value you. So the only way to be able to make effective change is right with the people that surround you. So let's just try to see if we can spread a lot more love than hate. And I think we'll be in a better place. And be active in your children's lives when it comes to dating. I think it is something that we got away from. We just kind of let them do their own thing, but maybe we should try something different. And that change could be us being active, especially as fathers, because we all men on the panel. Let's be active as fathers with our sons and our daughters. I think it's important in understanding the vital role that we play with our daughters. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it with that, Hank.
Brother JR, that was a great statement, man. And I definitely think it's something we can all benefit from. Shout out to Real Precious for even having us guys on her to have the conversation. Shout out to her for opening up our platform to every last man on her who was able to get their points of view, their thoughts, and their beliefs and whatever that's on their mind, allowing us to get it off. She didn't have to do it, but she chose to do it, and thank you, Sister Precious, for doing that. Shout out to everybody in her chat, along with my chat and everybody else who may have, simul stream and Brother King, and y'all pray for that brother. He's got some things he got going on. But with that being said, hey man, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming. Looking forward to seeing y'all guys next Monday. At least some of you ugly motherfuckers. Brother Payne, you stay home.
Tell them to hit that cash app. Hit Precious cash app, y'all.
Yeah, for sure. Hit the cash app.
The cash app. I
definitely made sure I got some super chats sent my way, so I made sure I broke up. I gave a half on it. That's only right. This is because it's one show, and I wouldn't have been able to get it if it wasn't for us. So make sure you hit a cash app.
I'm gonna send a cash app right away.
I know that's right. You're a trick. You can do it. So thank you, everybody. And y'all gone long ago because I have no control to shut it down unless you do, Jay. I don't.
Good night, brother. Everybody just log off. It's gonna get shut down. Everybody log off.
Just hit the red X. See y'all next week.
All right.